What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories.
2p. Chapter 21 Susanoo, Instant Kill. Boom. A terrifying blue chakra energy wave explodes, and the blue version of Susanoo makes a strong debut.
Almost instantly, a blue energy sword appeared in Guy's hand and slashed at Little Oz's machete. Sulfuric acid, blade against sword. At this moment, everyone was shocked, including Whitebeard, Sengoku and others. No matter how knowledgeable they are, they cannot predict the existence of Susanoo. Conjuring a giant-like exoskeleton out of thin air to fight, in the eyes of people in this world, he is almost like a god. Boom boom boom. As the blue energy sword collided with the machete, waves of air were released. This is a scene that is more terrifying and shocking than the previous collision between several giants, Vice Admiral. Click, click, click. In the end, the competition ended with the weapon in Little Oz's hand breaking. You don't even have armament hockey, so it's better not to fight with such scrap metal. Standing in Susanoo's energy field, Guy Luo crossed his arms, eyes Sharingan, and commented lightly. Boom. A shattering sound sounded. Little Oz, with a look of disbelief on his face, was struck by the energy sword. Puff. A huge wound appeared, slashing diagonally from his chest. Wow. Blood fell like heavy rain, dyeing the battlefield red. Little Oz was thrown away by the huge force, like an overturned mountain, slamming into the pirate camp. Boom. The moment it fell, the ice surface that was originally frozen by Hokage was finally overwhelmed and completely shattered. Countless pirates fell directly into the cold water. Silence. The whole world was shocked into silence. Have people in the pirate world ever seen a being like Susanoo? That huge giant-like body, a body made entirely of energy, looked like a god. It was so shocking that everyone's scalp went numb. At this moment, no matter how powerful or knowledgeable a man is, he cannot sit still. Whitebeard stared at Guy Luo's Susanoo figure with sharp eyes. Hey, that form is not good. The aura is completely comparable to the four emperors. Guy Luo. Actually, Sengoku was shocked, and he felt the same momentum as Whitebeard. The energy that Guy Luo just burst out in an instant made him feel a little scared. Hey, what are you doing? How can this guy have such strength? Brother Ming finally couldn't hold back the smile on his face. In the past, when he saw Guy Luo, he almost always looked at the weak with a strong attitude. He regarded all battles as battles in a cage, and everyone was just a puppet that could be controlled by him. However, now, the strength shown by Guy Luo has obviously surpassed him. There is no doubt that if he had been hit like that just now, he would probably be gone by now. Therefore, he could no longer remain calm and pampered, and began to panic. Hokage on the side saw this, but he was surprised and happy. He finally showed an excited smile for the first time since the war started. His sharp eyes like an eagle's tenons suddenly brightened, like a pervert who saw a beautiful woman without clothes, or like a traveler who had been walking in the desert for several years and suddenly saw fresh water and food. Very good. This guy is a master with a sword. The empress next to her was surprised to find that Hokage, this weird man who was indifferent to her, the world's greatest swordsman, this guy who dared to draw his sword even against Whitebeard. At this moment, his body actually started to tremble slightly. Of course, the trembling of the eagle eye is not due to fear, but the trembling of excitement of a lonely strong man who has difficulty meeting his opponent and suddenly sees his opponent. This form. Is it the true form of a fantasy beast? But it is a transparent energy body. I have never heard of such a creature. Admiral Kizaru said with an unprecedented serious expression. Obviously, Guy Susanoo made this lazy man unable to sit still. It's really a surprising form. Akainu narrowed his eyes at this time. Because, there was someone in Marine who hid his strength to such an extent, which made him very unhappy. However, it is obviously a good thing for Marine to have such a combat capability.
Have you noticed the power that Colonel Guy showed at that moment? Before Hokage could finish his words, he was interrupted by Akainu.
Ah, I discovered it. It's not inferior to us at all. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Boom. Finally, after a brief silence. The whole world is boiling. Hey, look, how did that man do it? He suddenly turned into a giant in an instant. He actually knocked Lil Oz away with just one sword strike. You know, he was the Vice Admiral who killed 8 giants at the same time just now. Little Oz can crush 8 Vice Admirals from the giant race, but Colonel Luo Guy's form can kill Lil Oz instantly, which is equivalent to Colonel Luo Guy being able to crush 8 Vice Admirals. Is this also the power of Devil Fruit? It's really terrifying, and it deserves to be called Devil Fruit. No wonder a Devil Fruit costs 100 million belly to buy. Mom, I want to eat Devil Fruit too. Countless people are amazed, shocked by Guy's fighting power, and even more shocked by his Susanoo. With one sword, he chopped off Lil Oz. At the same time, he can transform from a mortal body to rival gods, transform into a giant form, and fight fiercely against pirates. What a shock! Especially transforming into a giant and fighting monsters is the dream of countless men and teenagers.
Wow, that guy is so handsome. When I grow up, I want to be such a hero.
It's so awesome. fighting monsters. Many young children, with big eyes, looked at Susanoo in the picture.
This scene will be deeply engraved on their young minds and affect their lives forever.
Kid, you have to know that Marine is the hero. How many unknown people protect us after becoming Marines? How many people died in the hands of pirates, and their bodies sank into the sea forever? Their parents and family members will never see them for the last time. Some old people and elders took this opportunity and began to teach earnestly. Instill some ideas into their descendants. At this moment, countless people are discussing, but no one doubts that Marine will lose this battle. Just because that man exists, Luo Gai. At this time, on the battlefield. Inside the blue Susanoo, Luo Gai blinked. 2 lines of tears suddenly flowed from the corners of his eyes. If you want to maintain permanent Mangekyo, it is really a waste of eye power. Just maintaining it for such a short time makes your eyes tired. Luo Gai murmured in a voice that only he could hear. Brush. The next second, he directly cancelled the Sharingan state, and the patterns in his pupils suddenly disappeared and returned to normal eyeballs. At the same time, Susanoo outside the body also disappeared. Snap. His feet landed on the remaining ice, and in front of him was a large seawater full of broken ice. And most of the pirates were splashing in the icy water at this time. More than half of Little Oz's body sank into the seawater. There was a long wound on his chest, and blood was pouring out of it. However, his eyes were obviously unconscious. On some larger ice blocks, Malgao and other captains of the Whitebeard pirates were standing. There were also some pirates who climbed onto the ice blocks from the sea, looking like they were surviving the disaster. Hey, this guy, in that form just now, couldn't be kidding, right? On a huge ice block, Margao's face was ugly, his hair was wet, his body was covered with cold seawater, and his clothes were wrinkled and clinging to his skin. Even he fell into the seawater just now. You know, after eating devil fruit, once a person comes into contact with seawater, he will lose all his strength instantly. Even the physical strength to swim will be lost. If there is no external rescue, it will sink to the bottom of the sea and become a corpse. If it weren't for the Whitebeard Pirates team that specializes in salvaging ability users, he would probably be dead by now. He actually gave Oz to. Diamond Oz was lying limply on the ice, looking in disbelief at Little Oz's body sinking like a giant ship. Chapter 22 Diamond Josie? Flying Thunder God Technique? Oh, he actually disappeared. At this moment, everyone noticed that Susanoo outside Guy's body was missing. It seems like a move that consumes a lot of energy. Can't it be used for a long time? Kizaru analyzed calmly. Akainu leaned forward and leaned on the back of the chair again. He didn't even notice it, but he secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Ah la la, after all, it is an ability that can exert 4 Emperor's level combat power. It must be ultimate move. It is normal that it cannot be used for a long time. Aokiji also crossed his legs. Oz. On the execution platform. Ace yelled. He originally thought that Lil Oz could kill Guy. However, the reality disappointed him. Not only was he unable to kill Guy Luo, but he himself was directly chopped away by Guy Luo's sword. His life and death are currently unknown. HMPH, be quiet. Now that you are a prisoner, do you still think that you are the young master of the Pirate King? Sengoku snorted coldly, a little unhappy. Immediately, he looked at Guy Luo's back and stared deeply. It's really surprising. Could it be that a giant in that form is Zone, the phantom beast species of the Renren fruit? Sengoku himself is an Esper in the form of the Buddha, so he is more inclined to think that Guy Luo's Susanoo is actually a kind of divine body that exists in legend. It's a pity that that form can only exist for a moment. If you cultivate it properly, you might be able to cultivate an admiral with combat power. Alas, Garp, you bastard, why didn't you recommend Guy earlier? Sengoku feels like it's a pity. Guy Luo is definitely a talent. If discovered early, Marine's Hell-style training will definitely allow him to shine at a young age. Maybe one of the 3 admirals now is Guy Luo. Boom. At this moment, suddenly, a figure appeared outside Guy Luo's body the moment after Susanoo disappeared. Suddenly rushed towards him. Kill, this man is tall and strong. Strong back and strong waist. The body was sparkling, as if it were covered with gems. Diamond Josie. It was so fast, no one expected that someone would launch a sneak attack on Guy Luo. Death. Josie appeared in front of Guy almost instantly. At this moment, he was filled with murderous intent. The death of Izo and the unknown life and death of Little Oz deeply hurt his heart, making him want to go on a killing spree. So, he hit Guy head on hard. You are dead. When he got closer, Joes discovered that Guy's body was barely moving. He immediately understood that this guy's melee combat ability was still too poor after all. Whether it was the move called Rashomon, the ability to breathe fire, or the fighting method of transforming into a giant form just now. That's too late. HMPH, in this world, physical skills are king after all. At this moment, Josie had already sentenced Guy to death in his heart. Brush. Finally, he got what he wanted and bumped into Guy's body. However, the result made his heart beat violently. Because, he discovered that Guy Luo in front of him was just an afterimage. No, it can't be said to be an afterimage, it's as if I passed through Guy Luo's body. Boom. When Joes reacted, it was already too late. He passed through Guy's. afterimage, and then flew out under the inertia and hit the hard wall behind. Rumble. In an instant, gravel flew and the earth shook. Dead, dead? The Marine soldier next to him said with lingering fear. As expected of Colonel Luogai, you can actually dodge such a fast enemy. Just as the nearby Marine soldiers were talking, suddenly, a man walked out of the smoke. This man is tall, and his body is covered with sparkling diamonds, like a gemstone sculpture. Yes, it's Diamond Josie. Finally, the Marine soldier recognized this man and shouted. The captain of the 3rd Division of the Whitebeard Pirates, the user with the shining fruit ability. Chaozi walked towards Guy Luo step by step. At this moment, his whole body was wrapped in diamonds. There were only 2 things in this world that could restrain him, one was seawater and the other was sea stone. In addition, even Hokage, the world's #1 even great swordsman cannot split diamonds. He is the symbol of invincible defense, observation Haki, plus the razor, is that what gives you the confidence to avoid me? Josie looked at Guy, but this time he did not attack rashly. At this moment, all the Marines and pirates around Guy and Josie took a detour, leaving a blank space. When the big guys fight, the rookies suffer. But the aftermath of any battle between 2 people could kill hundreds or thousands of people. Luo Guy's left eye has reopened at this moment and turned into a Sharingan. I'm not interested in things like hockey. I have better ones, he said calmly. HMPH, trying to be mysterious. Chaozi snorted coldly, I was careless just now. This time, you have no chance. Prepare to die. Boom. His left foot suddenly touched the ground and disappeared instantly. What a speed. For such a big man, he can still have such agility. He is worthy of being the captain of Whitebeard's 3rd Division. This strength is definitely on the level of General Star and 3 disasters. Next to him, Marine screamed. Hurry up. Josie was indeed very fast, and to be honest, Guy was quite surprised by this. In the first sneak attack just now, he actually didn't react at all and couldn't hide. As a last resort, he used the hollow ability of Obito's right eye, which is to escape the attacked body part into another space. Forcing me to use my right eye, you are a good opponent. Luo Guy said, suddenly throwing out a strange kunai in his hand. This kunai has 3 spines and looks a bit like a trident. The strangest thing is that there are some weird black patterns on the handle. At the moment when the kunai fell to the ground, Josie also arrived. Die. At this moment, he waved his diamond fist as big as a sandbag and slammed Guy in the face. Guy Luo, this time, did not drive the Sharingan on the right. Just use the left eye in normal state, 3 Magatama. And this is enough, because, Flying Thunder God. Base. In an instant, he disappeared directly from the spot and teleported directly behind Josie, next to the kunai that had just landed. How? How is it possible? At this moment, Josie's eyes widened, with a look of disbelief on his face. Boom. His punch created a terrifying air current. However, this punch was ultimately empty. He turned around in disbelief, looked at Guy, and punched again as if he didn't believe it. Let's see how you hide. This time, his speed was faster, almost creating sonic booms, and his fists almost swept across, trying to block all Guy Luo's escape routes. You are indeed very fast, but you are too slow. Luo Guy's eyes were dull, but Sharingan had already seen through all the other party's movements. Base. In an instant, he disappeared from the spot and appeared behind Josie. Just now, he left another kunai with the Flying Thunder God's curse seal on the spot. No, it's impossible. At this time, Josie finally realized something. The opponent's speed and his own observation Haki could not capture the movement trajectory at all? Huh, 4th Hokage, Namikaze Minato's Flying Thunder God technique, can you capture it with your mere physical skills? Guy Luo snorted in his heart. That's right, the 4th Hokage ability he acquired is naturally his best, Flying Thunder God. Chapter 23 Unbreakable, Invincible Diamond Armor, Impossible, how is it possible? Josie's face was filled with disbelief. Guy's speed was so fast that he couldn't catch it. Even though he has already used observation Haki. You know, his Haki training is one of the best among the Whitebeard pirates. Whether it is the color of knowledge or the color of armed force. Among them, the sight and color almost reached the legendary level of predicting the future. I don't know how many times better than many ordinary characters. He can say without hesitation that if he encounters someone who is weaker than him, then the other person will never be able to sense the trajectory of his attack. But he can predict the opponent's reaction in advance, and then respond in advance, thus carrying out a crushing attack on the enemy. However, now, facing Guy Luo, he was horrified to find that the other person seemed to have stronger knowledge than him. No, that's not right. Even if you are better at seeing, hearing, and coloring than me, you won't be able to change your position in an instant. What a speed. At this moment, Chaozi was shocked from the inside out by Guy Luo. Previously, in his opinion, Guy Luo was just a more powerful Colonel Marine. At most, he has the strength of Vice Admiral, but even so, he still ignored it. After all, he is the captain of Whitebeard's 3rd Division, Diamond Josie. But now, Chaozi found that he had to admit that in some aspects, such as speed and knowledge and color, he was far inferior to Guy Luo. At the same time, The abnormality here naturally attracted the attention of the bosses of Marine and Pirates. However, because they were too far away from the battlefield, they could not clearly capture the specific situation. Huh? What's going on? Josie's attacks failed one after another? Whitebeard frowned and murmured. When Josie appeared on the stage, Whitebeard had already made up his mind about the outcome of this battle. Guy Luo was definitely no match for Josie. There is no doubt about this. It is not that Whitebeard is arrogant, it is because he is familiar enough with Josie and has absolute confidence in his strength. In terms of abilities, Josie is a user with the Diamond Fruit ability. Even he can't break through this. Except with Hokage, of course. However, that requires at least Conqueror's Entanglement, plus Emission, and both the weapon color and Conquerors must reach the 4 Emperors level. Guy, do you have one? He doesn't even have Hokage, right? Besides, Jose himself also has a powerful Hokage. Whether it is the appearance of seeing, hearing, or the appearance of weapons, they are all top-notch. Moreover, his physical skills are also very powerful. Despite his bulk, he is not slow, and he even once shot down Margao. Of course, at the end of the day, I have to mention that Josie's power is really terrifying. It is very easy for him to lift a battleship. He can also fight with Lil Oz. Not a problem. The superimposition of so many excellent abilities creates a powerful Emperor Deputy level combatant. It is no exaggeration to say that even if Josie faces an admiral or one of the 3 disasters, he will never be at a disadvantage. Possible. But now it seems that I underestimated you, Guy Luo. Whitebeard suddenly took a deep breath, and then let it out slowly. In the eyes of Whitebeard today, there is no doubt that Guy Luo definitely has top-notch knowledge, at least better than Josie. Can you predict what you will see in the future? That's why you can predict Josie's attack in advance and dodge it. HMPH, I didn't expect that Guy Luo would hide so deeply. Sengoku is also conducting analysis, and as the resourceful general, he is naturally no worse than Whitebeard imagined. He quickly determined that Guy Luo had top-notch intelligence, so he could easily avoid Josie's attack. It's really surprising. The Phantom Beast Fruit, the top observation Hokage. How many more surprises do you have, Guy Luo? Sengoku muttered. On the battlefield. HMPH, you're a cunning guy, can you just hide? If you have the ability, fight me. What's the point of hiding? Are you still a man? After many attacks were ineffective, Josie also stopped, no longer wasting energy needlessly, and turned on the mouth escape mode. Guy Luo, with his hands in his pockets, suddenly appeared in front of Josie. At this moment, although Guy Luo maintained an undefended posture, Chaozi understood that once he made a sudden attack, the opponent would still dodge instantly just like before. HMPH, what's the matter? I've hit a painful point. Are you ready to fight me openly? Josie raised his head and looked down at Guy. Oh. When Guy Luo heard this, he didn't show any signs of being provoked. Instead, he raised the corners of his mouth in a mocking arc. Fair and upright. He repeated Josie's words as if talking to himself, and then suddenly smiled. Ha ha ha. Ah ha ha ha. You, what are you laughing at? Chaozi was a little frightened by Guy Luo's laughter and couldn't help but shouted. Ha. Ridiculous. Guy Luo sneered and looked at Chaozi with a stern gaze, able and upright. Are you qualified to say that? I don't know who it was just now. When no one was paying attention, they suddenly launched a sneak attack. What do you mean by being upright? It's really funny. In an instant, the surrounding Marine soldiers burst into laughter. Haha, you were right. You were the first to launch a sneak attack just now, and now you have the nerve to lick your face and say something upright. It's really a double standard. You can sneak attack on us, but we have to fight you openly. You've already said all the good things about us, right? This is a pirate. Even breaking into the Naval Headquarters of Justice and killing Marine soldiers is called saving his comrades. It's ridiculous. You have sacrificed hundreds of comrades for one Fire Fist. Is it true that Fire Fist's life is his life, but not the lives of those dead pirate minions? Are they just cannon fodder? You are just a group of self-motivated villains. The Marine soldiers shouted with hatred, leaving all the pirates speechless. Stop talking. Kill them. Finally, one of the pirates became angry and could only direct his anger at the Marine soldiers. HMPH, you are such an eloquent guy. No matter how much you say, it can't change the fact that you are a rat. Will you just hide? You don't dare to confront me head-on. You can't even break my invincible diamond armor, you piece of trash, rubbish, loser. Josie's whole body sparkled with diamond light and he scolded Guy aggressively. Invincible. Luo Guy looked at the diamonds on Chaozi and suddenly laughed contemptuously. Chapter 24 Blatant Provocation, Arrogant Josie, Invincible? Guy Luo only found it funny. After all, Josie was just a member of the pirate world and had no idea how big the world was. With the abilities of the ninjutsu world, one can easily break through the defense against diamonds. Not only can it break through defenses, but it can even kill them to pieces. However, Guy Luo did not intend to use his special trick on Josie. That's like using a rocket launcher to swat mosquitoes. It's overkill and underutilized. Even if he wins, he won't feel the slightest sense of accomplishment, but will feel a bit wasteful. HMPH, you are really arrogant. As far as I know, there are still people in this world who can break your defense, and Luo guy said, holding out 3 fingers. At least, there are 3 people who can do it. What? Josie's pupils narrowed. Luo guy actually said that there are 3 people who can break his defense. How can this be? In this world, apart from Dad, is there anyone who can defeat his own diamond? You know, this is the hardest material in the world. Even the hardness of the legendary 12 great sharp swords cannot match that of diamond. Even if Hawkeye's knife were to hit him, the only result would be that the blade would break. There was no second chance. Joke, do you know what you are talking about? Josie shouted. First, Guy Luo ignored the other party's shouting and just stretched out a finger. Whitebeard can do it. Forehead, as soon as these words came out, Josie was immediately speechless. He really couldn't refute it, and he himself agreed with it. But then, he quickly shouted, of course Dad can do it, but... However, before he finished speaking, Guy stretched out his second finger, interrupted him, and then said, Second, Roger, the Pirate King, can naturally do it. Josie suddenly felt as if he had a mouthful of old blood stuck in his chest, and he wanted to vomit but couldn't. Although, he was very unhappy and didn't want to admit it. However, he had to admit that Roger was indeed considered as strong as his father, and it was more than enough to break his diamond defense. After all, he saw with his own eyes that Roger was able to slash Conqueror's hockey-like sword energy, which was so powerful that it could cut off sea stone. Third, at this moment, Guy Luo suddenly stretched out his third finger. This made Josie suddenly wake up. Third, humph, don't tell me that there are people in this world who are as famous as Dad and Roger. The only person he can think of is Garp. However, he doesn't think Garp can break the diamond. He doesn't agree. However, what Guy Luo was talking about was not Garp, but Blackbeard. Teach. Before he finished speaking, Chaozi's expression changed suddenly. You mean? That traitor? He had a strong murderous intention at this moment, and he felt that Guy Luo definitely did it on purpose. You know, Blackbeard killed his partner and then handed Ace to Marine, which was equivalent to the instigator of the battle on the top. The situation that the Whitebeard pirates are in today is definitely related to that guy Blackbeard, but Guy Luo actually dared to mention him. HMPH, that's ridiculous. How is it possible for Blackbeard to be as famous as Dad and Roger? Josie said in a contemptuous tone. Oh, do you look down on Blackbeard? At this time, Guy Luo said calmly. Is that guy worthy? Even if we put aside his poor character, his strength is rubbish. When Joe spoke, there was a sense of contempt and condescension from the inside out, because deep down, he looked down on Blackbeard. He doesn't think that the other party can be his opponent at all. However, I think that not only are you no match for Blackbeard, but you will also die in his hands in the future. Guy Luo said calmly. Xiao Zi no longer wanted to hear what Guy said, completely thinking that he was talking nonsense. In fact, at this moment, many people do not take Blackbeard seriously and do not regard him as the same thing. However, people don't know that dark fruit exists. I don't know how much strength Blackbeard hides. Dark fruit can completely restrain Josie's diamond ability. When Josie encounters Blackbeard again, he will definitely underestimate the enemy and die in battle. Luo Guy said silently in his heart. Okay, no need to say more, come and fight me to the death, trash. Josie stepped closer to Guy and stretched out his fist. If you are still a man, come and fight me. If you run away again, then the whole world. Having said this, Josie raised the corners of his mouth, revealing a sinister smile. If I'm not mistaken, this battle should be broadcast live to people all over the world, right? Are you planning to be a deserter in front of people all over the world? When it came to the last 2 words, Josie said almost word by word with an emphasis. At this moment, almost all the eyes of the world were focused on Guy Luo. Even those who had supported Guy before could not help but feel a little worried at this time. I'm afraid that Guy Luo will fall for Chaozi's provocation. In that case, wouldn't it be a sure defeat? Don't agree, Colonel Luo Guy, in a close fight, you are no match for him. Damn pirate, he is provocative. Don't talk about moral principles with this kind of pirate, just go ahead and beat him to death. Where's that blue giant form just now? Why don't you use it? Can't you kill little Oz with one knife? It shouldn't be a problem to kill this hateful diamond man, right? Idiot, of course such a powerful move cannot be used for a long time. Besides, I think even if you use the power of the blue giant, you can't break the diamond. I'm looking forward to this battle. Many people support Guy Luo, but from the bottom of their hearts, they don't regard Guy Luo as Chaozi's opponent at all. Who gave you the confidence? At this moment, suddenly, a burst of regular footsteps appeared nearby. When? Chaozi suddenly turned his head and looked behind Guy, and found that there, at some point, a figure came over. Hawkeye. Da da da. As the sound of leather shoes gradually came, Hawkeye continued. Does it make you think that diamonds are impossible to cut open? When Chaozi heard this, the corners of his eyes twitched. Before this, he had almost never seen Hawkeye take action, let alone faced Hawkeye head-on. He had no idea about the strength of the world's greatest swordsman. Perhaps the strongest sword can indeed cut through diamonds, right? No. Josie then shook his head and gave up the idea. He laughed at himself in his heart. It seemed that he was overthinking. How could even Hawkeye cut off the diamond? HMPH, forget it. Since this coward doesn't intend to fight me, then I will be your opponent, Hawkeye. Josie glanced at Guy contemptuously, and then looked at Hawkeye with a hint of provocation. You know, Hawkeye is a swordsman who competes with the 4 Emperor's red-haired Shanks. This kind of provocation is simply arrogant. However, Hawkeye didn't show any displeasure at this time. Instead, he showed a look of excitement. He pulled out the black knife. Yee! With a bang, and pointed it directly at Josie. Then let me try to see if I can split it, you diamond. At this moment, the world is paying attention. The world's greatest swordsman is about to take action, and he's going to split the hardest diamond. You know, this is the hardest substance in the pirate world. Even sea stone is only as hard as diamond, but it cannot surpass it. This means that once Hawkeye can split Josie's diamond, he can also split the sea stone. Countless people stared at this scene with their eyes wide open. Even Sengoku and Whitebeard turned their attention at this time, wanting to see the outcome of this battle. However, Beansack. Suddenly, just as Hawkeye was about to draw his sword, Guy Luo suddenly interrupted. You have to pay attention to killing on a first-come, first-served basis, right? Hawkeye, this guy is my prey. Chapter 25 The world's best slashing attack, can it break through diamonds? Hey, this guy, does he know what he's talking about? At this moment, countless people were shocked. You know, Hawkeye is the same as the 4 Emperors. However, Guy Luo's tone of voice was so impolite. Hawkeye also looked at Guy Luo in surprise. You want to fight him alone? The implication is obvious. Hawkeye does not think that Guy Luo will be Jose's opponent. Although the series of behaviors Guy Luo has shown before are enough to illustrate his strength. However, as the top and strongest man in the world, Hawkeye only values his real strength. In the eyes of Hawkeye, Guy Luo's series of methods are just fancy. Although some of the methods are indeed very powerful, they will not have much effect against powerful opponents. It is said that one force can defeat all laws. Do we need a group of people to deal with this kind of thing? Luo Guy said in a matter-of-fact tone. Faced with Eagle Eye's gaze, Guy Luo felt nothing. Although the other person's look is enough to make any swordsman feel in awe, but he is a man with a Sharingan, so how can he be afraid of this mere look? However, in the eyes of others, his natural behavior is simply crazy. What he faced was Hawkeye, the greatest swordsman in the world. HMPH, yes, it's amazing. But let me try it out. Which one is stronger, my sword or the diamond fruit? However, Hawkeye was quite tough this time. He didn't give Guy any chance at all and was ready to kill people with a black knife. Wait a minute, this guy is my opponent. Do you understand the first come, first served principle? Guy Luo looked unhappy and felt that Hawkeye was being unreasonable. He was obviously the one who faced off against Josie first, so why did he lead his opponent? The two of them, you and I, talked about who would fight Josie first, as if they were dividing the spoils. This scene is simply too beautiful. At this moment, people all over the world were stunned. I'm sorry, these two are real bullshit. The legendary captain of the 3rd Division of the Whitebeard Pirates actually became the opponent to be robbed. This is simply too irritating, isn't it? I saw that Chowzi's face was so dark that he was almost dripping with water. Quack, quack, it made me laugh so hard. These two big guys are really awesome. They give people a very reliable feeling. Yeah, the battle at the top, the Whitebeard Pirates are nothing. But I'm curious, does Colonel Guy really have the ability to defeat Diamond Josie head-on? Of course. Don't doubt it, Colonel Guy. But a man who can even catch Whitebeard's blow can also transform into a giant. What else can't he do? Tisk, tisk, Marine is really a crouching tiger, hidden dragon. A random Marine colonel actually has such strength. Ahem, of course this is just a joke, Colonel Luo Guy is just an exception. At this time, Guy Luo and Hawkeye were still arguing. On the side, Josie's originally dark face was now the same color as the bottom of the pot. Finally, he couldn't bear it anymore and burst out. Enough is enough, you two. Bastards. With his roar, Guy Luo's discussion with Hawkeye also stopped. However, the next development of the situation was far beyond everyone's expectations. I saw that Guy Luo actually said in a more arrogant tone than Chowzi. You dare to yell at a butcher just for a piece of fish on a chopping board. Who do you think you are? Stand aside and I will go over and kill you in a moment. And Hawkeye unexpectedly said in a flirtatious tone. There is no room for you to interrupt here. Boom. Finally, Josie couldn't bear it anymore. Mainly these two guys are so annoying. They were actually discussing there who should defeat him. This is completely treating him like fish on the chopping board. Think you can be slaughtered at will? This is simply a shame. He, a majestic diamond fruit user, has actually fallen to this level. How dignified. You two are looking for death. Finally, Josie shouted directly and killed the two of them. Base. Suddenly, there was a sound of sword energy. I saw that leisurely figure brandishing a peerless sword. In the blink of an eye, an emerald green, solid-like slash was issued, slashing towards Josie with a devastating force. Here he appears. The slashing attack of the world's greatest swordsman. Countless people's hearts are surging. In the past, how could people have the opportunity to see such a top powerhouse take action? Now that you can actually watch it for free, I'm so happy. At this moment, countless people are thinking about a question. Can Hawkeye split a diamond? Josie naturally didn't dare to neglect it. After all, it was Hawkeye's attack. According to legend, he often competed with Red Hair in swordsmanship, and Red Hair was a member of the Four Emperors like his father. From this, it can be imagined that Hawkeye actually what kind of existence it is. He saw diamond armor erupting all over his body, reflecting the flying sword attacks, emitting a dazzling light, like a little sun. Boom, with a loud noise, the slash struck Josie's body hard. However, the scene that some people imagined, where Josie was instantly cut into two pieces, did not appear. However, the scene that other people imagined, where the slash was directly broken up by Josie, also did not appear. Josie seemed to have exerted all his strength, veins popped out on his forehead, and he tried his best to intercept Hawkeye's slash. Boom. Finally, a few seconds later, with a low roar from Josie, the world's #1 slasher was thrown into the sky by him. Silence. There was silence. Many people were silent. Josie actually blocked Hawkeye's slash. Chapter 26 Wood Style, Wood Dragon Technique. Hawkeye, you guy. You really started fighting just because you were talking to yourself, but you just didn't break the defense. Huh. No. Guy Luo was the first to notice the anomaly. His Sharingan could observe fine details and quickly discovered something. On Josie's chest, a shallow gap suddenly appeared in the shining diamond body. Yes, there is a gap. Although it is very shallow, it can already explain the problem. At this moment, Guy Luo's eyes finally changed subtly, and he looked at Hawkeye with some admiration. I didn't expect that he could actually cut diamonds, and people in this world don't have any skills at all. They can only rely on their own training and understanding. Eagle Eye was the second to notice. His eyes were as sharp as an eagle's. He quickly discovered the incision he had made and immediately raised the corners of his mouth. You actually. As the injured, Josie was the last one among the three to find himself injured. When he saw a crack in his indestructible diamond armor, his pupils shrank to the size of a pin. Hawkeye can actually cut through diamonds. Although it only cut off a little bit, it is already top-notch. The hardest object in the world was actually cut off by Hawkeye with a knife that was not as hard as diamond. When Joes looked at Hawkeye again, it was no longer the contempt he had before, but with high respect. Respect for the strong. The greatest swordsman in the world. Deserved. Base. Suddenly, Hawkeye put away the black knife. Yee. Then, he suddenly turned around and left. Hey, what are you going to do, Hawkeye? A Marine asked, dissatisfaction in his tone. Hawkeye is Shichibukai, a force of Marine. Now he's not working. He just slashed and left without killing the enemy. What does this mean? This touch of fish is too obvious. I've got the answer I want. As for what I'm going to do, it doesn't seem like I need to report to you, right? Hawkeye suddenly stopped and glanced faintly at the Marine who had just spoken. Suddenly, the Marine felt his whole body stiffen, and a sharp gaze almost cut him in half. The eagle's gaze made him feel like his days were like years, as if he could be cut into pieces at any time. Fortunately, this terrifying gaze only lasted for a few seconds. Hawkeye looked away and then continued to leave the place as if nothing had happened. Wow. At this moment, people all over the world were in an uproar. They couldn't see details like the wounds on Josie's body. Therefore, from the perspective of bystanders, what they saw was that Hawkeye swung the knife, but Josie was not dead and stood there as if nothing was wrong. But Hawkeye turned around and left, and even said cruel words to an unknown Marine soldier, like a man who was exposed and was angry and incompetent. Damn it, Hawkeye couldn't cut open the diamond. Shocked, shocked, shocked. Big news. The world's greatest swordsman cannot cut through a diamond. Hawkeye failed to break through the diamond's defense, so he turned around and left in a rage of incompetence. It's over. If even Hawkeye can't break through Jose's defense, then who else can stop this pirate? Hey, it seems that the only option is to use the human wave tactic to drain this person's energy, or to deal with the opponent like Colonel Guy. No, if you use sea stone as a weapon, maybe. But. Many people fell directly into panic. In an instant, the psychological advantage of the Marines turned into panic due to the terrifying power of the pirates. Many people have even begun to mentally prepare for Marines' defeat, preparing to move and leave this place of right and wrong. Because once Marine is defeated, pirates all over the world will get excited and burn, kill and loot like crazy. Without Marines' protection, all civilians will suffer horrific hell. It may be a suitable choice to leave the place where you live and find a remote island to live in seclusion. On top of the battlefield, some Marine soldiers didn't know why, and they were already feeling a little panicked. It's over. Hawkeye can't even defeat Diamond Josie. How should he defeat him? Our weapons are nothing compared to diamonds and are vulnerable to a single blow. Damn it, I'm ready to sacrifice, but before I die, I can only serve as cannon fodder. I'm really unhappy. As for the pirates, their morale was starting to rise at this time. Oh, as expected of you, Captain Joes. He actually took Hawkeye's attack. Strong. It's really too strong. You actually caught all the slashes from the world's greatest swordsman. What else can't you do? I'm afraid you can block even the red-haired guy. In this case, what's the point? Doesn't it mean that the captains of our Whitebeard pirates have 4 Emperors level strength? Compared to the blind optimism of the pirates, Josie's face was not that pretty. Although the knife Hokage just cut was not deep, he was surprised to find that his wound could not be healed. He is not Logia, but Paramecia, which means that the part of him that becomes diamond is actually his body, his flesh and blood. As for the knife just now, Hokage has obviously cut several bones, once he cancels the diamond status. This means that he will be seriously injured in an instant, and this injury cannot be cured in a short time. Damn, what kind of terrible man is this? A few drops of cold sweat dropped imperceptibly on Chaozi's forehead. Are you sweating profusely? Suddenly, Guy Luo's voice suddenly sounded, and Josie raised his head suddenly. Only then did he remember that there was an enemy standing in front of him, and he was distracted just now. It was so dangerous, I was almost attacked by you. Chaozi snorted coldly and wiped his cold sweat. HMPH, a sneak attack. To deal with someone like you, I only need 2 hands. Luo Guy said disdainfully. HMPH, you are such a shameless talker. You have been dodging my attacks, but now you are saying such shameless and cruel words. Aren't you afraid of being laughed at by people all over the world? Josie decided that Guy was just bluffing, so he didn't take it seriously. Originally, he didn't dare to be 100% sure of his invincibility, but now, even Hawkeye has retreated. Could it be that Guy Luo still has a stronger attack power than Hawkeye? Huh. Well, I've never used this trick on someone of your level, but today I'll open your eyes. Luo Guy said, and began to form seals with his hands. What does it mean to overcome strength with softness, and what does it mean to overcome strength with 4 ounces? Wood-style wood dragon technique. Chapter 27 Kill Josie instantly, the power of the wooden dragon. Eagle Eye. Can't even break through Diamond Josie's defense. On the execution platform, Sengoku was a little surprised. As the resourceful general, he studies a lot on the abilities of the Whitebeard pirates. Among them, Margau's Phoenix Fruit can only be killed by using instant explosive destructive attacks, or by consuming its physical strength. Of course, the best way is to use Sea Stone to restrain it. As for Josie, ordinary people's attacks really can't kill him, so they can only consume physical strength or Sea Stone. However, the existence of Haki makes Sea Stone almost unable to affect the espers. Therefore, it seems that the only way to deal with Josie is physical exertion. Alala, it seems like we have to deal with this guy? Aokiji was also ready to stand up at this time and planned to take action. Even Hawkeye can't cut through diamonds, it seems like things are really going to be difficult. Kazaru's glasses glowed with golden light, as if he was also preparing to take action. When it comes to dealing with diamonds, of course I'm the best at it. However, Akainu stood up directly, leaving no room for the other two to take action.
You two, don't think about what is there and what is not. Just sit here for me. The weakest thing is to let a pirate go. I will ask you later.
Akainu is very familiar with his 2 colleagues. An ambiguous justice, a lazy justice, neither of them are very reliable guys. He is the only one working hard here. If these 2 guys were allowed to come in, they might just find an opportunity to go fishing in the corner. Wait, it seems things have changed. At this moment, Aokiji suddenly reminded him. At this moment, the battlefield is at the forefront. Josie didn't want to continue nagging and launched an attack directly. Suffer death, he shouted violently and prepared to kill Guy Luo. However, at this time, Guy Luo had also completed the seal. Boom. A surge of chakra surged from his body. Wood-style wood dragon technique.
Click, click, click. Abruptly, the ice beneath his feet suddenly broke, and then a huge vine emerged from it.
The vines grew at an astonishing speed. Under the stimulation of Guy's massive chakra, they actually grew to an extremely exaggerated rate at a speed visible to the naked eye. Josie, on the other hand, was directly entangled by the vines, strangling his strong body like a python.
What? Can you actually control plants? How much more ability do you have?
Even though Chao Zedong was shocked, he was certainly not shocked by Guy Luo's strength. At this time, he didn't realize that he had actually lost. He was just shocked that Guy Luo could use so many 5/8 gate abilities. He can breathe fire, transform into a giant, and move instantly. Now, another ability to control plants has emerged. This really washed away and shocked his worldview. In his eyes, there is only one fruit ability. The ability of the diamond fruit is to turn into diamonds, and the ability of the shock fruit is to control vibrations. Even if it is a changeable phantom beast species, the main body is still a beast. But now, before he even saw Guy Luo's original beast, Guy Luo had already used so many incredible and exaggerated abilities against common sense that no one could react. However, Josie is Josie after all. When he was young, he fought against the Roger pirates. And in the rest of his life, he also followed Whitebeard, sailing across the entire ocean step by step, and saw so much of the world. At this moment, he quickly reacted and began to resist. Roar. With a low roar, Josie burst out with his own power. With that strange power that could lift a warship, could it be that he couldn't tear apart a mere big tree? The answer is no. Rumble. With the activation of wood dragon technique, the plant seeds floating in the seawater and the seeds frozen in the ice began to grow crazily under the stimulation of Guy Luo's massive chakra, and they grew to 100% in almost a few seconds, giant size. It tightly entangled Josie in the middle. Open it for me. Chaozi didn't believe that a mere plant could trap him. Even if he used brute force, he wanted to break it with one force. However, when he exerted his strength, he could tear even steel into pieces, but found that he could not break the giant tree in front of him. No. Impossible. Josie was stunned. He felt that his opening method must be wrong. Try harder. Roar. Another roar. Josie exerted his strength again. This time, he even used Hokage's ability. Emission wildly bombarded the wooden dragon's body. However, reality slapped Josie hard once again. This emission, which can destroy objects directly from the inside, bombarded the wood dragon technique, but it was like a mud cow entering the sea, with no reaction. Even where he blasted into emission, the branches of the wooden dragon became harder, and a large number of branches and leaves grew. All this happened in less than 10 seconds. Rumble. As Guy activated the wood dragon technique, a plant seed that was originally floating in the sea and accidentally frozen by Hokage grew directly into a terrifying wood dragon. It entangled Josie in the center, and whether it was Josie's own physical strength, the ability of the diamond fruit, or even Hokage, it became the nutrients of the wooden dragon, absorbed by it, and then strengthening itself. And Guy himself also received some feedback from chakra. Hold head high, the wooden dragon Hokage appears, with its lifelike wooden scales, dragon head, and huge dragon eyes, staring at everyone with ferocity. Its size is so exaggerated that even giants seem a little small in front of it. At this moment, Chaozi, who was so arrogant just now, stopped making any movement. He was directly sealed in the wooden dragon and could not be broken. Everyone was shocked. They couldn't understand what happened. Why did a giant dragon suddenly appear and kill Josie instantly? You know, Josie is a user with diamond fruit ability. Even the world's greatest swordsman, Hokage, can't break through his diamond defense. This moment, not even the three admirals, not even Sengoku, not even Whitebeard could remain calm. Chapter 28 Luo Guy's speculation about his abilities is discussed all over the world. Boom. From the perspective of a bystander, there is a loud noise, and then the wooden dragon appears. It was like a mythical beast descending from the sky, shocking the world. The body of the wooden dragon, which coexists with ferociousness and majesty, and whose size and power are unmistakable, undoubtedly shocked everyone's attention. At this moment, the eyes of the entire battlefield on the top, and even the eyes of the whole world, as well as the eyes of some big guys who were watching the live broadcast on the top of the mountain with phone bugs, were all focused on Mu Long, and on Guy Luo's on your body. Hey, Captain, this guy's ability. Can actually control plants. Red Hair Pirates, the fat pirate was shocked and quickly took a bite of barbecue to calm down his shock. The red-haired man also narrowed his eyes at this moment. From his knowledge, he had never heard of any fruit ability that could actually use so many abilities at the same time. Fire, plants, that kind of door, and the giant posture. There are also Logia's abilities, and Paramisha's abilities. The key is that every ability is so strong. This guy's fruit is too buggy. A little more. At this moment, Shanks suddenly lost confidence in his own knowledge. He originally thought that Luffy, who had eaten the Nika fruit, would be the best candidate to become the Pirate King. However, now, it seems that the Nika fruit is not a very rare ability. Even in front of Guy Luo's various abilities, it's not enough. Ha 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 ha. It's really a powerful ability. At the same time, Blackbeard, who was hiding in the dark and preparing to hunt like a lion majesty, also laughed. And laughing maniacally, Captain, it seems that you have found a better ability than shock fruit. Next to him, Shiryu said lightly, if that's the case, can I have Whitebeard's shock fruit? HMPH, this fruit belongs to me anyway. You can do whatever you want with the rest. Blackbeard snorted coldly, his eyes filled with greedy desire as he stared at Guy Luo's figure on the battlefield. He had seen the Devil Fruit illustrated book, but there was no record of this fruit's ability in it. Then there is only one possibility. This kind of fruit is either something that has never appeared before, or it is a fruit ability that has just been born. Ha 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 ha. What a powerful fruit ability. Once I have this ability, wouldn't it be impossible to become the Pirate King? Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Blackbeard laughed wildly, and his laughter became even crazier, as if he had seen the moment when he ascended the throne of the Pirate King. Let's fight, let's make trouble, the final winner will be me. Hey, are you kidding me? In the Admiral's seat, Kizaru had already lost his composure. Of course, it was not mainly because of Guy Luo's strength. In terms of strength, it was actually when Guy Luo blocked Whitebeard's blow that shocked him the most. The ability to instantly kill Josie at this moment actually made him less shocked. What really shocked him was Guy Luo's ability. Aokiji on the side also frowned at this moment. If I remember correctly, the ability to control plants is clearly Green Cow. Akainu took over the conversation between the two and said in a low voice. For an instant, the three of them fell into silence. The plant fruit and Logia ability appeared in Guy Luo's hands at this moment. It has to be said that the three admirals felt a little threatened. Is it reasonable for a person to have so many abilities at the same time? Kizaru shouted. It's really envious. Aokiji couldn't remain calm and said. HMPH, in comparison, the ability to release flames is not that amazing. After all, both Big Mom and Kaido can control flames easily. Hey, this is no joke, on the execution platform. Ace's eyes widened. How can one person have the ability to control fire and plants at the same time? Is this person still a human? HMPH, it's really a terrifying ability. Garp, you actually know such a master, and it's just revealed now. It's really well hidden. Sengoku suddenly smiled. After all, Guy is one of our own. The stronger he is, the greater the advantage for Marine. But, his abilities. Are really diverse. What kind of fruit is it? No matter what, after this battle, Guy Luo's name will spread across the entire sea, and everyone will be shocked by his ability and explosive strength. At this time, Sengoku had already begun to think about what position should be promoted to Guy Luo after this battle. The guarantee is all Vice Admiral. Otherwise, if such a powerful combatant is still a colonel, countless people will definitely be dissatisfied, and it is not impossible that Marine's military morale may even be shaken by this. So, what about Admiral Tisk? What a pity. It would have been better if he had appeared earlier. In this case, my successor could have been found. Sengoku suddenly sighed and shook his head. Guy is too old. Although he looks very young, it is impossible for him to continue to be an admiral or marshal at this age. Aboard Moby Dick. Whitebeard's eyes widened and he stared at the giant wooden dragon on the battlefield. At the same time, he has deployed his observation Haki, sensing Jose's presence. What made him somewhat relieved was that Jose was not dead. However, his face didn't look much better. All this is just because the aura on Jose's body is already very weak. At this moment, Jose seemed to be trapped in a seastone prison. Every once in a while, he would burst out with wild resistance. However, every time it erupted, it was completely absorbed by the wooden dragon. Then, the aura on Jose's body will become weaker. At this moment, Jose was completely unable to break free from the shackles of this wooden dragon cage. In other words, he lost. Jose, Whitebeard's face darkened. Boom. On the battlefield, accompanied by Luo Guy, he clenched his fist. The wooden dragon technique tightened suddenly, and Jose, who was trapped inside, suffered a terrifying squeeze in an instant. Click 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 click. At this moment, the diamonds on Chaozi's body began to show signs of fragmentation. Oops. My physical strength can no longer support the fruit's ability. Chaozi, who was in the central area, felt his heart sinking. After his physical strength was injected into the fruit, it formed a diamond. However, now Mulong directly began to absorb his physical strength from the diamond. As a result, the diamond shape has begun to be unsustainable. Puff, there was a sound of flesh and blood exploding. Guy seemed to understand what was going on. HMPH. You didn't even last half a minute. What a miscalculation. Now, that old man Whitebeard will really get angry, right? It doesn't matter, I have to see this guy's strength sooner or later anyway. Chapter 29 Whitebeard's Fury. Dragon's attention at this time, Guy Luo glanced at the Naval Headquarters behind him. It's really heartless to let me fight here alone. Luo Guy's expectations for Marine's top management are actually not high. Just say 3 admirals. Kizaru, an old fisherman, just fished in Summit War in the original work, but he also saved the life of Luffy, a pirate, several times, which is simply ridiculous. Every time Luffy met a Kainu, he was kicked away by Kizaru.
The most outrageous thing is that once, he stopped pretending and kicked Luffy away to Whitebeard.
As for Aokiji, it's not much better. If you look carefully, he actually saved Luffy's life. If it weren't for his action, Luffy would have been beaten to death by a Kainu. It is estimated that after the entire Summit War, a Kainu was the only one working hard. Wood Dragon Technique. Solution. With Guy Luo's seal, the huge wooden dragon that originally trapped Jose dispersed. Then Jose's body inside was revealed. However, at this time, Jose looked very miserable. His body was like a perfect piece of porcelain that suddenly fell to the ground and shattered, and then was forcibly put back together again using clumsy techniques. If a doctor had examined Chaozi's body at this moment, he would have discovered that all the bones in this man's body had been shattered and fractured after eating the so-called hardest fruit. Even the skull was deformed, the skin was broken inch by inch, and blood flowed out like a piece of broken porcelain. Jose. Countless pirates watched with dizzy eyes as their captain died in front of them. Actually, died? Hey, this is going to be very bad. Brother Ming suddenly stopped laughing at this moment. Although he was not the party involved, this matter had nothing to do with him. However, his liver was trembling when he thought about what might happen next. This is bad. Now, I have completely angered Whitebeard. Even Hokage, who had always been calm, became a little nervous at this time. However, ordinary people don't see it that way. What they saw was just the results of the battle. When he saw that even Hokage was unable to deal with Jose, he was actually killed. There was an immediate sensation. That guy covered in diamonds was killed just like that. Awesome. As expected of Colonel Luo Guy, it's outrageous. The diamond that even Hokage couldn't cut was crushed by that huge wooden dragon. It's so scary. What kind of power is this? Big news. The captain of Whitebeard's 3rd Division and the diamond fruit user, Jose, has been killed. Excuse me. Countless people in the newspaper office were suddenly keenly aware of the big news happening. You know, Xiaozi's strength is definitely on the same level as Zhang Xing and Three Disasters. And now, a Marine colonel actually defeated the general's combat power. What does this mean? This means, a powerful Marine Vice Admiral, the birth of the legendary Marine Vice Admiral. Although his reputation is not comparable to that of Garp from the Valley of the Gods, he can still be regarded as a new generation of Marine heroes. And, more importantly, as far as the strength shown by Guy Luo is concerned, it is not just Vice Admiral who is at the top. Probably, has the potential to become an Admiral. Being an Admiral substitute or something is not a problem at all. This also means, Marine is likely to have an additional quasi-Admiral level combatant. Countless people became excited after understanding the connotation of this. Marine adds a quasi-Admiral level strength. What does this mean? This means that Marine's combat power has increased again. And the Whitebeard pirates' chances of winning have become even slimmer. Marine will win this battle. Excuse me. Marine is stable. The result of the battle on top has been determined. Shocked. A Marine colonel actually did this to the Whitebeard pirates. Grand Line, somewhere. Revolutionary Army Headquarters. Something big happened. Big event. Many members of the Revolutionary Army were running around telling each other extremely nervously at this moment. Diamond Josie, who was considered a dangerous person, was defeated by a Marine colonel. Marine's hidden combat power, Marine Colonel Guy, a mysterious man with great strength, can actually kill Diamond Josie in an instant. Mr. Long. In a room. Someone pushed the door open and walked in. What they saw was a man with a tattoo on his face that looked like shoe prints. This person looks a lot like Garp when he was young. It's none other than the leader of the Revolutionary Army, Monkey D. Dragon. Marine hero, son of Garp, father of Monkey D. Luffy. Oh, what are you so worried about? Long put down the work at hand and looked at the person calmly. Is the Summit War over? Is Whitebeard dead? In fact, the Revolutionary Army had received reliable intelligence long before the Summit War began. Moreover, the intelligence department within the Revolutionary Army calculated the outcome of this war. The final result is that Marine will win. However, Marine will also suffer heavy losses. As for whether Fire Fist Ace is dead or alive, they actually don't care. Whitebeard's life and death and the severity of Marine Admiral's injuries are the most important. The others are just minor characters after all, and cannot yet catch the eye of the dragon. Therefore, Long was very indifferent to this and did not even watch the live broadcast of the battle on the top. No, Mr. Long, the war is still going on, but there is a variable, which our people have not analyzed. The visitor quickly reported the matter. Long's expression gradually became serious from being calm at the beginning. He frowned and said, Guy Luo. What about someone who has never heard of him? What is his fruit ability? We must pay close attention to this person. However, his strength must not be at the level of Admiral, otherwise he would not have been hidden by Marine for so long. After saying that, Long continued to work on the matter at hand, not caring about the situation of the battle on the top. Naval Headquarters. The atmosphere suddenly became tense. The Marine soldiers were preparing to cheer. After all, Guy Luo had killed another captain-level character of his opponent, and he was still very difficult to deal with, Diamond Josie. However, at this moment, most Marine soldiers almost felt an unspeakable terrifying aura spreading across the entire battlefield. What a strong spirit! Somewhere on the battlefield, the ghost spider who was slashing the pirates suddenly stopped and looked towards the front of the battlefield with sweat on his forehead. This aura makes people feel weak all over. Elsewhere, although Smoker didn't want to admit it, he felt like his bones were shaking at the moment. It's over, that man is going to make a fuss. At this time, Crane Vice Admiral suddenly spoke and told the reason. I saw Whitebeard wearing a big cloak on the Moby Dick, with a gloomy face, his clothes were windless, and the blood vessels on his arms bulged one by one, making a rattling sound. Dad. At this time, the pirates looked at Whitebeard with great anger. Josie, I know, Whitebeard said in a low voice with suppressed anger. Although the sound was very soft, it spread far. A pair of eyes filled with murderous intent were staring coldly at the figure on the battlefield, Guy Luo's figure. Kill my lovely son. This guy. I will send him to hell with my own hands. Chapter 34 Emperor's Level Collision, the sky splits. Boom. A terrifying Hokage suddenly burst out from the Moby Dick, spurting out from the body of the world's strongest man, roaring towards the entire battlefield like a mountain falling apart. Buzz buzz. The terrifying pressure instantly caused countless Marine soldiers to foam at the mouth and lose consciousness. Even some Vice Admirals who were not strong-willed, at this time, their brains trembled and they fell to the ground. Okay. So strong Hokage. The ghost spider half knelt on the ground with difficulty, cold sweat on his forehead. As this? The man who fought with Roger back then, he was really terrifyingly strong. On the other side, Vice Admiral of Huashaoshan also had difficulty standing still, struggling to support his body with a knife. Damn it. Is this really the power of human beings? Just relying on courage can actually make us lose our will to fight. What a monster. The other Vice Admiral couldn't stand at all and could only kneel on the ground and struggle feebly. He thought that his will was relatively firm, but at this moment, when he saw Whitebeard's courage, he realized that this was not comparable at all. The other person was not a human being at all, but a monster. Ordinary people would spend their entire lives. It's impossible to reach that level. What a despairing gap. Is this what admirals can deal with? It seems that I will never become an admiral, another vice admiral said bitterly. Buzz buzz. Whitebeard squinted his eyes and stared at Gailuo. Most of the Hokage were concentrated in the direction of Gailuo, so much so that some of the ice along the way was deformed. Click click click. At this time, the ice surface was unable to withstand Hokage's terror, and it actually shattered. Some of the marine soldiers standing on this line began to twitch. Dare to kill my son. You are seeking death. Whitebeard's dark and deep voice spread coldly throughout the battlefield, and his target was none other than Gailuo. However, Gailuo himself is the so-called conqueror's Hokage. Although he can feel the pressure, in front of Sharingan, all mental attacks will be invisible. Top-level eye skills are no joke. Sharingan, open. As Guy opened his left eye, the pressure caused by Hokage immediately disappeared without any threat to him.
Those eyes again. At this time, Whitebeard suddenly took action, leapt up and killed Gailuo.
So fast, at this moment, everyone exclaimed in their hearts. No one thought that Whitebeard, who looked tall and inflexible, could be so agile. Moreover, he seemed to be very old, but now, he actually showed such amazing speed. Even faster than Josie. Almost in the blink of an eye, he arrived near Guy, raised the big knife in his hand high, and slashed him on the head. The strongest man in the world took action himself. At this moment, countless people watching the live broadcast felt their scalps numb and their bodies stiff. Even if they were not present, they could still feel the unparalleled terrifying pressure. Very scary. It's over. How'd I feel that his sword can split this island apart? Die. Whitebeard was so close that his body almost became an afterimage. A flash of red light burst out from his eyes. It was Hokage who had almost condensed into substance. Boom. With one strike, the sky collapsed and the earth shattered. However, Gailuo did not suffer and did not even take action. A figure stood boldly in front of Guy, helping him block the most powerful blow in the world. How can I allow you to act so wantonly? Aokiji's figure suddenly appeared, and his kick collided with Kong Yunchi. However, the attacks of both parties did not actually come into contact. There was also a Hokage collision in the middle that ordinary people could not detect at all. Rumble. At this moment, the sky suddenly split open.
Do you want to die? Little devil. Whitebeard's kingly aura was revealed, carrying the power of destroying the world, and shouted scornfully.
HMPH, old man, at your age, you are already a person from the old era. A guy who should have been in the trash can for a long time still dares to come out. Aren't you afraid of dying? Aokiji said coldly, showing no signs of weakness. Drink. Whitebeard shouted loudly, and the terrifying momentum instantly swept everything within a kilometer radius, like a nuclear bomb exploding. Aokiji also drank violently, and the powerful power surged in his body, and Hokage vented it wildly, fighting against Whitebeard. Boom. 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 At this moment, the color of heaven and earth changed. The place where the two faced off seemed to be the center of the entire universe. Hokage's collision caused black lightning to dance wildly, like a catastrophe of destruction. Burp, 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 burp. The ice beneath their feet was shattering inch by inch, and gradually forming large-scale cracks. The entire ice was about to be destroyed by the aftermath of their attacks. Okay, so strong. Is this the showdown between Admiral and 4 Emperors? At this moment, the marine soldiers in the distance who had just regained some consciousness were stunned and couldn't believe what was happening in front of them. This kind of power is simply inhuman. So this is Admiral, this is 4 Emperors level strength. The world is so big, my vision is too shallow. It's over, the ground is about to crack, run. Otherwise we will die from the aftermath of the strongman's battle. Click 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 click. At this time, the cold air surged around Aokiji's body, and the ice beneath his feet froze again, and the sea surface was almost as large as the foundation of the island. Countless marines were saved, but the pirates felt uncomfortable. They could only fall into the sea again with screams. HMPH, at this time, how dare you, a boy, to be distracted. Seeing this, Whitebeard snorted coldly and suddenly exerted his strength. Boom. In an instant, Aokiji flew out upside down. Like a meteor, it hit the soil instantly and disappeared. You don't plan to come out before this war is over, do you? While everyone was shocked by Whitebeard's power, Guy, who had already seen through everything, was extremely calm. The corners of his mouth twitched, and he began to complain in his heart. He knew that Aokiji must have been pretending to be injured and then hiding and refusing to come out. He could only feel pain in his balls for Aokiji's fishy behavior. Boy. No one can save you now. Chapter 31. A surprising change occurred. The second 4 Emperors group appears. Humph, really? Looking at Whitebeard, who was obviously taller than a normal human body in front of him, Gailuo did not panic at all. Instead, he began to move his hands and feet, as if he was warming up before the battle. Do you think you are invincible just because you used your fruit power to block one of my attacks? Whitebeard looked at Guy Luo's actions coldly at this time, and did not take action. Instead, he gently picked up Josie's broken body on the ground, and then handed it to the flying Margao. Invincible. What are you thinking? Luo Guy had completed his warm-up at this time. He looked at Whitebeard with an excited smile on his lips. I'm tired of playing that guy Garp, it's a good change now. Do you know what you were talking about? Whitebeard could only think that Guy Luo started gibbering because he was too frightened. Well, let me show you what the real power of the four emperors is. Whitebeard said, snorted coldly, and suddenly raised his hand, with a shocking force surging on it. If you still plan to use the last move to defend, I'm afraid you will be disappointed, because this distance is simply not enough to put down such a big thing. The corners of Whitebeard's mouth turned up, showing a trace of pride. Obviously, he thought that the only way for Guy Luo to block his attack was through the five-fold Rashomon gate. However, the distance between the two sides is so short at this time, and there is no way for the 5 Rashomon gates to be accommodated. Therefore, the result is obvious, Guy Luo will definitely die. Ice time. Suddenly, a burst of extremely cold ice air suddenly arrived, almost at a speed that the naked eye could not catch. It enveloped Whitebeard's body in one stroke, instantly freezing his huge body into a majestic ice sculpture. Aokiji. Luo Guy looked in a certain direction with some surprise. On the ground in that place, a figure of ice suddenly grown, slowly. Apparently Aokiji used Frozen Fruit's ability to teleport and appeared on the front line. However, what surprised him was not Aokiji's ice power that could freeze Whitebeard, but... You're such a fisherman, you still know how to come back. I thought you went somewhere to catch fish. Luo Guy's eyes widened as if he had seen something extremely incredible, and he completely lost his composure. Aokiji almost fell to the ground, and then he looked at Guy Luo with some resentment. Am I that unbearable in your eyes? That's right. Guy Luo picked his nose and said nonchalantly. Depend on. Aokiji had veins on his forehead and wiped away the non-existent cold sweat. It seems that my image still needs to be restored for a while. At this moment, the sound of breaking suddenly sounded.
Guy Luo was also suddenly startled and wanted to warn him, but it was already too late.
I saw that the frozen Whitebeard ice sculpture was shattered instantly, and Whitebeard's figure moved directly to the back of Aokiji at a terrifying speed that was almost instantaneous. A ray of red light seemed to have condensed into the actual Hokage, carrying overwhelming murderous intent. Kid, don't be distracted during the battle. Who do you think I am? Whitebeard's voice was like an icy breath coming from hell, instantly making Aokiji's scalp numb. Boom. One punch. A solid punch hit Aokiji's body hard. At the same time, the shock fruit ability was activated, the atmosphere instantly shattered, and Aokiji's body seemed to shatter like a fragile ice cube. Crash, rumble. In an instant, Aokiji was hit again and was directly punched into the ground by Whitebeard. A huge spiderweb-like crack spread. The entire Naval Headquarters seemed to be shaking and a slight earthquake occurred. At the same time, the surrounding sea began to roar crazily and set off angry waves. Hey, the situation is not good. Suddenly, a yellow figure suddenly appeared in the sky. Kizaru appeared at some point, the yellow laser in his hand lit up, ready to attack Whitebeard. Just at this moment, a sharp whistle sounded, and the birdman with blue flames came to kill. How can we allow you to sneak attack our dad? Boom. Phoenix Margot vs Kizaru is about to break out. Hey, one by one. I agreed to let you guard the execution platform, but in the end, one by one, they all ran out. This makes it very difficult for me to handle. Akainu had a headache. Neither Aokiji nor Kizaru were reliable leaders. This war was obviously an offensive and defensive war, and Marine was on the defensive side. But now, both admirals started to take the initiative to attack.
If an enemy suddenly appears and attacks the execution platform, wouldn't it be easy to save Fire Fist?
Akainu's face darkened. Kill. Marine's side frantically attacked the pirates, and the battle started again. The battlefield suddenly formed a crazy meat grinder, and a large number of people fell and died here. Even some people who were only injured were not dead, but were trampled to death by enemies and even companions. Leave this to me, Whitebeard is no match for you. Aokiji's mouth was bleeding, and he appeared in front of Guy. It seemed that Whitebeard failed to kill him with the punch just now. Humph, you are really talking to yourself. Whitebeard is obviously my opponent. Guy Luo was a little unhappy, and then he glanced at the battlefields in all directions. However, there are too many pirates here and they are too much of an eyesore. Let me get rid of these miscellaneous soldiers first. While he was talking, he suddenly jumped up and appeared dozens of meters in the air. HMPH, want to run? Whitebeard also snorted coldly. It was impossible to watch Guy Luo massacre his sons, and he was about to take action immediately. I understand, your opponent now is me. Aokiji suddenly kicked out and kicked Whitebeard hard in the stomach, sending him flying away. Fire style, Luo Guy has completed the seal at this time, his gills are bulging, and he is ready to attack. Some pirates below also noticed this and were horrified. But they had nowhere to hide. Under the terrifying fire, even if they were hiding in the seawater, the terrifying flame heat could instantly boil the seawater and cause serious burns to them. At this moment, Guy Luo's attack suddenly stopped. His eyes looked solemnly at the sea ahead. At the same time, Aokiji, Kizaru, Whitebeard and others who were fighting fiercely also stopped, frowning and looking in the same direction. There, a large number of bubbles suddenly emerged from the seawater, and then a membrane boat suddenly appeared. As the membrane disappeared, a pirate flag fluttering in the wind was revealed. When they saw the pattern of this pirate flag, countless people's pupils suddenly shrank. 4 Emperors, Big Mom, Chapter 32. Clouds are moving in all directions, the order of the 5 elders. Gululululululululululu. When the first ship rose into the sea, the second, third, and more pirate ships began to surface. Without exception, every pirate ship has the iconic pirate flag of the Big Mom pirates flying high. Their number is not inferior to the large fleet under 4 Emperors Whitebeard. There are also a terrifying number of pirates standing on every ship. Crash! At this moment, suddenly, the largest bubble rushed out of the sea, and what followed was an unprecedentedly huge battleship. Crash! When the largest pirate ship surfaced, everyone's eyes were focused on its appearance. This is a ship that seems to be made of desserts and biscuits, and at the bow of the ship, there is a biscuit face, which is actually alive and singing. I am a ship, I am a ship, I am a ship, well, well, well. A burst of laughter that made the whole world tremble suddenly sounded. What I saw on the giant ship was a fat body comparable to that of a small giant. She wore pink clothes and tacky makeup, but she exuded the terrifying aura of a pirate queen. Well, 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 Whitebeard, Sengoku, it's been such a long time. 4 Emperors, Big Mom, Charlotte Linlin, overlooking the audience with a leisurely attitude. At this moment, people all over the world were stunned. How could this happen? 4 Emperors' aunt actually appeared on the battlefield at the top. Look at those people next to her. That one is Cracker, right? And that one, my god, Katakuri. The existence known as the strongest general. So many ships, so many pirates. If you include the pirates of the Whitebeard pirates, the pirates' strength has completely surpassed the strength of the Naval Headquarters. It has been crushed. Despair, what to do? What should we do? Marine is going to lose, it's over, the world is going to be destroyed, and we will be ruled by pirates. I can understand the Whitebeard pirates attacking Naval Headquarters, but shouldn't Big Mom be Whitebeard's enemy? Why did she also participate in the war? Shock, despair, fear, uneasiness, panic. Countless people were in panic at this moment. The appearance of the second 4 Emperors pirate group directly shattered everyone's calmness and confidence. People who originally believed that Marine had a winning chance now found in despair that the pirates had an absolute advantage. Marine, who has been fighting for a long time before, can no longer resist the second 4 Emperors pirate group in good condition. New world. Hey, Auntie actually showed up too, what kind of trouble is this? When the red-haired Shanks saw the aunt's appearance, he stood up suddenly, his eyes as sharp as knives, and he shot a threatening look. Is it possible that she formed a pirate alliance with that old guy Whitebeard and wants to completely destroy Marine in one battle? Rumble. Suddenly, a shocking Hokage shot up into the sky, causing dark clouds to cover and thunder and lightning roaring within 100 miles radius. Captain, if this is really the case, then should we intervene? Ben Beckman on the side also put down the bottle of wine in his hand and spoke solemnly. At this time, the other members of the Red Hair Pirates also looked at Shanks. Red Hair Pirates, to a certain extent, are not actually pirates. They don't have a large fleet like the other 4 Emperors. All the members are on the same boat. They don't kill and loot like normal pirates on weekdays. They will even treat other pirates as prey and rob them of their food and treasures. Like the Whitebeard pirates, in their territory, civilians live very well. Not only do no pirates dare to offend, they don't even have to hand over gold from the sky. It can be called a paradise-like life. With Marine's current combat power, even if it can repel Whitebeard and Big Mom, the losses will be extremely heavy. By then, pirates in the entire world will be ready to move, and Marine's main force will disappear, and peace can no longer be maintained. The red-haired Zan Jin said categorically. He put one hand on the saber at his waist and stepped on the side of the ship with one foot. Rumble. At this moment, thunder roared and the sea surged. Base. As the red-haired man took out his sword, a cold light shot out. Go to sea, target. Naval Headquarters. Meanwhile, on the other side, the Grand Line. Mr. Long, something bad has happened. The second 4 Emperors group has appeared at Naval Headquarters. The appearance of the Big Mom pirates directly caused a stir within the Revolutionary Army. The Revolutionary Army, which has always regarded Marine as an enemy, was actually a little happy in their hearts when they saw Marine's imminent destruction, unlike what most people thought. This will be a huge opportunity, and how could Long fail to see this? God help me. Long laughed, and then his face became gloomy. He did not want to see the bloody massacre that was about to happen. Instruct everyone in the world to take action immediately to seize control of the island. Soon, revolutionary troops suddenly emerged from all over the world and even on some islands on the Grand Line. Hey, after today, I'm afraid there will be no more Marines in the world. Long unexpectedly sighed and let out his own sigh. In his opinion, Marine has no chance of winning this battle and will definitely be destroyed by the attack of the 2 4 Emperors pirate groups. There is no suspense about this. it is very likely that the 3 admirals and some top powerhouses will not die, and even the 4 emperors will not die. However, a large number of marine soldiers and some marine elites will die, which will be a major blow to the marine power. After all, no matter how strong the admiral is, he cannot act like an ordinary marine and catch ordinary pirates everywhere. Holy place, Marijoy. Meeting hall. The 5 elders are not concerned about the battle at the top. In their view, a mere Whitebeard pirate group is not enough to shake the Naval Headquarters with 3 admirals. What's more, even if Naval Headquarters is destroyed, they don't care. In their view, the so-called Marines are just a group of dogs they raised. If they die, they can just recruit them again, as long as the interests of the Celestial Dragons are not harmed. However, the news of Auntie's appearance caused a slight fluctuation in the hearts of the 5 pampered people. Oh, Auntie is here too? It's really unexpected? In this case, it is still unknown whether Sengoku can block the attack of the 2-4 Emperors groups. Even if he can block it, Whitebeard will probably take this opportunity to suddenly save Roger's son. This is not good. Marine can accept any death, but Roger's son must be executed in front of the whole world. Order to Sengoku, don't wait any longer, start the execution directly, execute the Fire Fist to avoid long nights and dreams. Chapter 33 Unknown Purpose, Killing Generals Instantly. Okay, I understand. If someone attacks, I will advance the execution. Naval Headquarters, Execution Platform, Sengoku hangs up the phone directly from the 5 elders. Immediately, his expression darkened. Ace on the side naturally heard the content of the call and looked sad. He understood that the war started by his father would probably fail. Be prepared, if I see any enemy approaching, I will order execution. Sengoku said to the 2 executioners standing on both sides. Yes. The 2 of them also took a step forward obediently, ready to be executed at any time. Hey, this is not going to be good. Akainu stood up immediately after seeing his aunt appear, with lava surging on his body. 4 Emperor's aunt, what is she doing here? While talking to himself, his eyes fell on Whitebeard on the battlefield. HMPH, are they the reinforcements invited by this old guy? No wonder, if I remember correctly, Whitebeard and Auntie were on the same ship. They may have some kind of friendship that the world doesn't know about. Indefinite. As he spoke, Akainu had already walked towards the battlefield. We can't continue to defend, we must take the initiative, otherwise. The consequences are unpredictable. Lin, what are you doing here? Whitebeard had stopped at this moment and looked at the aunt with confusion. Although the 2 did have a friendship, they have not seen each other for many years, and they are even considered enemies. Therefore, unlike what most people think, Whitebeard not only did not relax due to the appearance of the Big Mom pirates, but was vigilant. What if the aunt's purpose is to become a fisherman? Then it will be terrible. Well, Edward, don't be so outspoken. I didn't see that your son was about to be executed, so I came to help you. The aunt has a signature smile on her face, making it impossible to tell what she is thinking. Is that so? A hint of gloom flashed through Whitebeard's heart. He was now basically certain that Auntie was definitely not here to help him, but to order her to have a purpose. As for what the purpose was, he didn't know. However, this is not a bad thing, at least the aunt seems to be on his side so far. The marine soldiers were now prepared to die in despair. Originally, the Whitebeard pirates had to fight for their lives, but now there's the Big Mom pirates. Ordinary soldiers like them will never survive to win this war. Fight them. Even if you die, you have to put someone on your back. On the other hand, when the pirates of the Whitebeard pirates saw the appearance of reinforcements, their morale immediately rose. The fighting spirit is high. Oh, help is coming. Gaw. We will definitely win. Now let's see how you Marine win. Ace, wait for us. We will save you. The pirates roared and launched an attack. The thumping of footsteps on the ground caused violent vibrations. This is a brutal war, like a terrifying meat grinder that crazily harvests the lives of both Marines and pirates. Kill. The pirates of the Big Mom pirates also launched an attack with ferocious expressions. Really, it seems that I can have a good time this time. While almost everyone on Marine's side was solemn or despairing, there was one person whose face showed excitement. That person is Guy. In an instant, he rushed into the pirates, holding 2 machetes he picked up casually, and started killing crazily. With Sharingan's blessing, he could instantly see through all the pirate minions' movements. All attack postures became slow motion in his eyes. He saw through them one by one, and then shuttled through the gaps between these attacks and cut them open at will. These people's bodies. Guy Luo has no psychological burden at all about killing these pirates. Just by watching them hack Marine soldiers to death without hesitation, he can understand that these are not the so-called chivalrous pirates, but real ones who kill and rob. Pirates. Puff puff, strings of blood splashed, and Guy actually fought his way through the pirate army. His efficiency was extremely high. Basically wherever he walked, the pirates on both sides had their vitals cut open instantly and died on the spot. In just 10 seconds, he had already killed hundreds of pirates. Soon, the abnormality on Guy Luo's side attracted the attention of some people. The pirates subconsciously avoided his direction, so that a large blank was directly exposed in the direction of his advance. Boom! At this moment, suddenly, a huge figure fell from the sky. I saw that this man's body was actually made of biscuits, and even other parts of his body were mostly in the form of biscuits. Simply put, this is a biscuit soldier. Guy Luo also instantly recognized this person's identity. In the world of pirates, the only person who can develop the ordinary cookie fruit ability to such an extreme level is Cracker, one of the 4 generals. You look pretty strong. You've killed many of our men, but that's it for you. I'm going to use this pretzel to pierce your heart. A dull sound came from the body of the biscuit soldier. At the same time, the biscuit soldier also raised the weapon in his hand. It was a famous knife with a biscuit blade, and a dangerous light flashed on it. Appeared. Cracker, one of the 4 generals of the Big Mom Pirates, has a bounty of 860 million Baileys. A marine next to him also recognized this person's identity and immediately showed a look of horror. The existence that is as famous as the 3 disasters of the Kaido Pirates is also the leader-level combat power of the Whitebeard Pirates. Run quickly, this is not something we can deal with. Unlike Marine, the pirates became excited when they saw Cracker's appearance, because it meant that the boss could protect them. You are done. Someone looked at Guy with evil eyes. Kill him, Master Cracker. This is a tough one. Yes, this guy is very arrogant, but he killed many of us. At this moment, the mark of Baihao technique suddenly appeared on Guy Luo's face. Then, he disappeared in an instant. Boom, a moment later, he appeared in front of Cracker and punched the cookie soldier hard on the chest. He directly smashed the biscuit that was so hard that even Luffy couldn't break it in the 4th gear. At the same time, his arm penetrated directly into the Cracker soldier's body, hitting Cracker's body hidden inside. Puff, in an instant, Cracker, who was afraid of the pain of even injections, felt as if all the bones in his body were broken. His eyes turned white, blood spurted from his mouth, and he lost consciousness. Boom. The next second, Cracker's body flew backwards like a supersonic cannonball and hit the Big Mom Pirate's hull hard, creating a huge spider web-shaped crack and raising a lot of smoke and dust. Chapter 34 Become famous all over the world? Katakuri takes action. Click. The pirates who had been shouting just now suddenly had their jaws dislocated and fell to the ground. His eyes were bulging and his nose was dripping with snot. They couldn't believe how could the invincible Lord Cracker be killed by the enemy with one punch as soon as he came up. Is this F-King person still a human being? Could this be Admiral? But if it's Admiral, why does it feel like he's never seen this Marine before? Many pirates were roaring crazily in their hearts at this time. Especially those guys who were relatively close to Guy, who were clamoring for Cracker to kill Guy 1 second ago. But now, they can't wait to find a crack in the ground to crawl in, as far away from Guy Luo as possible. Awesome. As expected of Colonel Guy, he killed a guy who looked very powerful right off the bat. What about a guy who looks very powerful? He's a general, okay. And there's a Cracker with a bounty of more than 800 million, and he can kill it instantly. He's so powerful. Oh, I feel like my blood is getting hot. Haha, these pirates from the Big Mom Pirates, they couldn't watch the live broadcast just now, right? They probably don't know the existence of Colonel Guy, who is the man who can kill Josie. I actually forgot that Colonel Guy was nearby, and I actually wanted to run away. It's really embarrassing. Unlike the pirates, the Marine soldiers suddenly became excited when they saw Guy Luo's performance. Some people who know the goods even recognized the identity of General Cracker. The panic that originally arose due to the appearance of the Big Mom Pirates suddenly eased a lot. Some Marines even think that the Big Mom Pirates are just an illusion, right? Otherwise, how could someone kill a general so easily? Are you kidding me? Cracker was actually punched away. In the Marine camp, Vice Admiral Doberman had a look of disbelief on his face. A general was actually. On the other side, Ghost Spider also stopped fighting in shock and looked towards the direction Cracker flew out. That's 800 million combat power, and he was actually punched. Isn't he good at using fruit abilities? Why is his physical skills so strong? In Shichibukai, Brother Ming's face looked a little solemn. He has never fought against the Whitebeard Pirates, but he has seen the strength of the Big Mom Pirates. To put it simply, compared to Cracker's strength, he is actually just a younger brother. Probably not even the biscuit armor can be broken. He soon thought that if Guy could knock out Cracker with one punch, he could also knock him out with one punch. Is this guy almighty? Brother Ming couldn't accept it. HMPH, don't be so self-righteous, Hawkeye next to him suddenly said, looking at Brother Ming with disdain. If it's you, you're not worthy of being Guy's opponent. He can kill you in an instant. Obviously, he could no longer stand the behavior of Brother Ming pretending to be a bad guy here. He is obviously a noob, but he acts like he can take on the 4 emperors. Forehead, in an instant, Brother Ming's expression hardened. The awkward atmosphere spread. Sabo de Archipelago. In front of the big screen. Many reporters had just taken out pen and paper, preparing to record the process of Guy Luo's battle with Cracker. However, the battle was over before it even started. A newspaper reporter looked at the contents of the notes in his hand, his heartbeat accelerated, and he could not hide his excitement. Defeated the captains of the Whitebeard Pirates one after another, Izo, Little Oz, and Diamond Josie. Now, I actually defeated the 3rd general of the Big Mom Pirates, Cracker, with one punch. I have never heard of Colonel Marine having such strength before. This. Is definitely big news. I believe his portrait will be on the front page of tomorrow's newspaper. The reporter could almost imagine it. In tomorrow's newspaper, the scenes reported about the battle on the top will definitely include Whitebeard's wanted poster, Marine Admiral's photo, and finally, Guy Luo, who performed particularly amazingly, will also have a place. Being on the same page as 4 emperors and admirals speaks volumes. The reporters discussed it excitedly. There is no doubt that Guy Luo's name will spread all over the world. The people at the rear captured some key words from the reporters' conversations and roughly understood the situation. Got it, that Colonel Guy has killed another powerful opponent. 4 admiral stars, 1 was killed as soon as they came up, which is equivalent to 1/4. Okay. Well done. If we continue like this, what about the 2-4 emperors groups? Marine will still win. Some people waved their fists excitedly, with excitement on their faces. Colonel Guy Luo has defeated several powerful enemies, but judging from his condition, he still seems to have a lot of physical strength. If this situation continues, he can still defeat 1 to 2 general-level masters. Plus 3 more admirals' condition is still full, and I feel like I have a lot of hope in defeating the 2 kings. There are also people analyzing it here, behind, on a hillside. Rayleigh poured a sip of wine into her mouth and looked at Guy in the screen with a faint look. Guy Luo. There is no trace of using Hokage at all. In other words, he can defeat many masters who master Hokage using only physical skills and fruit abilities. It seems that those guys were careless and thought that this man without Hokage was not a threat, so they did not use Hokage for defense. Rayleigh, who knew Hokage very well, silently made a sharp criticism in his heart. HMPH, if you were more knowledgeable, you could predict a certain future, and you wouldn't lose so miserably. At this time, the Big Mom pirates. What happened? Cracker was actually killed by an unknown person. Many of the Ant's children are a little out of sorts. As Cracker's brothers and sisters, they know the strength of this monster best. Except for the 2 generals with a higher bounty than him, no one else is his opponent. Even a cookie soldier that Cracker can create at will by clapping his hands is no match for him. Although this is very shocking, if Cracker deals with outsiders, they are still very confident. But they didn't expect that this guy would be killed by a marine they had never seen or heard of before. It was simply outrageous. Well, it seems he is a hidden master in marine. Auntie herself is relatively calm. Unlike Whitebeard who cared about his subordinates, Auntie didn't care much about the life and death of her children. At this moment she said somewhat calmly, "What a waste. It seems that there is no need for Cracker to be called a general. The 4th general will probably be called the 3rd general in the future." After hearing this, the eyes of Auntie's other children all shone. Cracker was removed, doesn't that mean they have a chance to replace him? Mom, can you leave this guy to me? Most people are really no match for him. If you continue to let other people come, it will just be a delivery. As a slender figure took a step forward, the aunt nodded. It's only you, Katakuri, don't let me down. This is a war in front of the whole world, and there are Whitebeard and Marine. If you lose. I won't lose. Katakuri had disappeared before Big Mom could finish speaking. Chapter 35 Logives Katakuri. Oh, are you planning to save Grandpa? At this time, Guy Luo naturally noticed Katakuri's approach, and his left eye immediately opened, revealing Sharingan. If I deal with you, I don't dare to be careless anymore. If I can meet the short future, but it will be very difficult for me. Boom. While Guy was thinking about it, Katakuri had landed not far in front of him. First, he glanced at Cracker behind him. At this time, his biscuit soldiers had completely shattered, revealing his true body. He was very embarrassed, his eyes turned white, and blood was bleeding from the corners of his mouth. What a shame, Cracker. Katakuri commented without mercy. This is the consequence of not training your ability to resist blows. As soon as he finished speaking, his expression changed suddenly and he looked at Guy Luo. But, beating you into such a guy is even more unforgivable. Huh. Fake family affection? At this moment, Guy Luo suddenly chuckled. Having read the original work, he naturally has a very clear understanding of what the Big Mom pirates are all about. To put it simply, they are relatives on the surface, but in fact there is not much family affection at all. The aunt can ruthlessly take away her child's life simply because the other person is in the way. The brothers of the Big Mom pirates will also plot against each other, ridicule each other's appearance, and even commit murder. Guy Luo's ridicule obviously had an effect. Almost instantly, veins appeared on Katakuri's face. Brush. The next second, a trident suddenly pierced Guy's face. The speed was unbelievable. The moment Katakuri took action, his face should have shown the expression of a winner who was about to kill Guy. However, it turned into a frown and a thoughtful expression. Snapped. The future that Katakuri foresaw with his sense of color appeared. This result also made Katakuri quite confused. That blow, which was enough to kill hundreds of millions of bounty men, was actually pinched by Guy simply with one hand. Yes, one hand. And his body was almost motionless. How can it be? Katakuri almost blurted out these words that he had never said in his life. As soon as he said those words, he realized his gaffe. He never suffered a defeat in his life and was victorious in every battle. He did not even sleep with his back to the ground, which he regarded as a symbol of shame and failure. Instead, he slept directly against the wall or even stood up. Facing his strength, any opponent could not last more than a few rounds in front of him. Gradually, many people could not even take one of his moves. And such a terrifying and powerful blow, such a confident blow, was actually caught by a Marine colonel simply, even a bit like a joke, with one hand. This is simply unreasonable. How did you do it? Stillness fruit? Or some other fruit ability? After Katakuri lost his composure for a short time, he immediately thought that this was definitely some kind of special fruit ability that could allow Guy to attack with bare hands. Huh. Because it's beyond your knowledge, do you directly attribute my strength to fruit ability? Guy Luo suddenly grinned, and then suddenly exerted force. Gala. In an instant, veins popped out on Guy's hand, and cracks appeared on the tip of Katakuri's trident. Boom! Immediately, under Katakuri's widened eyes, he was crushed to pieces. Call. A fist as big as a sandbag slammed into Katakuri's face. Brush. At this moment, Katakuri's excellent fighting skills saved him. He regained his composure in time and used his powerful observation haki, tilting his head to the side. This almost unavoidable punch was actually dodged by him. Brush. In an instant, he quickly backed away from Guy Luo's side. And a drop of cold sweat dropped on his forehead. What kind of monster are you? At this moment, Katakuri actually felt a sense of fear. Because, in the future predicted by what he just saw and heard, he actually saw such a terrifying picture. If he hadn't dodged that punch just now, then he simply didn't dare to think about it anymore. Tisk. Is this top-notch sex? It's really unpleasant. Luo Guy spat a little unhappily. Just now he clearly felt that he could hit the opponent. But the opponent seemed to have read the script and knew the direction of his upcoming attack, and then evaded it in advance. Of course, he understood that it was because of Katakuri's powerful knowledge and color that he could already see the short future. The brief confrontation between the two sides, although it was only a moment and not very intense, was dangerous. Just Katakuri's blow just now, if Cracker were standing here, would have definitely penetrated the biscuit soldier's body. This is the gap in absolute strength. Click. At this time, the ice beneath their feet suddenly cracked and a crack appeared. Seeing this, Guy Luo jumped up. After a few jumps, he appeared dozens of meters away, and Katakuri followed naturally. There is no need for the two of them to fight on the frozen sea water that may break apart at any time. If one party loses due to falling into the water and affecting the battle, I am afraid the other party will not accept it. Hey, Vice Admiral Doberman, why are you leaving? Do you want to be a deserter? At this moment, Guy Luo suddenly saw an acquaintance. Doberman's body suddenly froze, and he turned around with an ugly expression and looked at Guy Luo. It can only be said that Doberman was a little unlucky. Not long after the battle, he broke into the battlefield between Guy Luo and Katakuri. Naturally, he did not think that he was the opponent of Katakuri, the strongest general, so he chose retreat. However, how could Guy let go of this opportunity? You must know that at the beginning, it was this guy who aggressively made things difficult for him and kept saying that he wanted to be a deserter. HMPH. Who's running away? I just don't want to make a sneak attack. Doberman snorted coldly. Oh, that's it. In that case, in order to prove that you don't want to be a deserter, how about you fight Katakuri? However, Guy Luo had no intention of letting this guy go. He took a few steps back with a smile and gave up the battlefield. In an instant, all the pirates and marine soldiers around them gave way to a large piece of open space. They don't want to be in trouble. The scene suddenly became awkward. Katakuri didn't care who his opponent was, it was Marine anyway, so he rushed forward. Damn it, I'll die. Doberman glared at Guy fiercely and could only rush forward. Boom. A second later, Katakuri's fist wrapped in armament color violently smashed Doberman's long knife protected with armament color, and then kicked him away. Doberman, you can't get back up. Chapter 36. A shocking battle. The four emperors looked sideways. Doberman, Vice Admiral, was actually killed with one blow. At this moment, countless Marine soldiers were extremely shocked. Doberman's qualifications are very famous among Marine, and there is no doubt about his strength. However, it is such a veteran Vice Admiral, the powerful Marine. But he was defeated by Katakuri's casual blow, so, how strong is Katakuri? But soon, another conclusion shocked these people's hearts again. That is, how strong must Guy be, who can fight back and forth with Katakuri, the strongest general who instantly killed Vice Admiral Doberman. This Guy Doberman was actually killed instantly. How strong is Katakuri? Vice Admiral, the ghost spider, noticed what was going on here and immediately broke into a cold sweat. Then he took a deep look at Guy Luo. And Guy Law, who can fight Katakuri for several rounds, is definitely stronger than me. There is no harm without comparison. Ghost Spider clearly knew Doberman's strength, so at this moment he understood that if it were him, he probably wouldn't be much stronger than Doberman. This also means that Guy Luo's strength is definitely above him, and much stronger than him. Is this the so-called Vice Admiral's strength? It really stretches the crotch. After Katakuri kicked out his leg, he slowly lowered it and looked at Guy Luo with a stern expression. Haha. I didn't expect that he would be defeated before even surviving such a short period of time. Luo Guy said indifferently. Come on, challenge me to a showdown, and then be defeated by my hands. Katakuri suddenly pushed towards Guy, walking confidently and calmly, as proudly as a general returning from victory. I was just careless just now. Now, I will show you what top strength means. Brush. The battle is about to break out. In an instant, Katakuri launched a fierce attack. His figure appeared in front of Guy Luo almost instantly. His right arm was raised high, and then it inflated like a balloon. The volume expanded more than 10 times, like a giant's fist, fiercely hit Guy Luo on the head. Glutinous fruit. Although this fruit seems to be a kind of food, like the biscuit fruit, it contains amazing power. The ability of Nanuo fruit is similar to that of rubber fruit to some extent, but it has better ductility and changeability. At the same time, it can create an effect similar to logia, turning parts of the body into rice cakes. With the blessing of observation haki, it can move the attacked part of the body away in advance, thereby achieving the neutralization effect. Faced with Katakuri's punch, Guy Luo also punched him hard. Baihao technique gave him the terrifying chakra and the enhancement of physical skills. With the blessing of this technique, Tsunade was able to break Madara's Susanoo armor with one punch. The chakra and physical fitness that Guy Luo accumulated over the past few decades were even more powerful. On top of Tsunade, boom, the fists of both sides collided fiercely. Guy's ordinary-sized fist formed a sharp contrast with Katakuri's giant fist. However, Guy Luo did not fall into a disadvantage. Instead, he steadily caught the punch. Ka-Er's eyes became serious. The energy contained in the little man in front of him was far beyond his imagination. What surprised him the most and secretly was that Guy Luo's fist didn't have any armament haki wrapping on it. He was fighting with pure physical fists. This was simply unbelievable. An ordinary armament haki can directly break a solid rock without using any force. And his weapon color has been tempered for many years and has reached the top level below the 4 emperors. To say that he can knead steel like clay would be an understatement. What kind of body is this, so powerful? Ka-Er felt more and more that Guy was unfathomable. He could only think of 2 people who could resist his attack with pure physical body. His mother and Kaido. Have you actually reached that level? At this moment, Kaji suddenly felt that he seemed to have been tricked. The person in front of him must have a more powerful armament haki than himself, and had even mastered the Conqueror's entanglement technique. However, he did not use it. Instead, he used pure fists to fight with himself. What is this but contempt? Use armament haki and fight me. He shouted low and exerted force suddenly, knocking Guy Luo back a few steps. At the same time, he quickly took a few steps back to distance himself from Guy Luo. Armament haki? I don't know that kind of thing. Guy Luo shook his fist and said calmly. HMPH. If that's the case, then I don't need haki anymore, Ka-Er said angrily, thinking that Guy Luo was deliberately humiliating him. Up to you, however, Guy shrugged indifferently. Boom. The next moment, Kaji launched another attack. This time he did not use armament haki, but simply used the power of the Nuo fruit to create a giant fist. Roar. With a violent roar, the war breaks out again. Well, I'm still a man, but you really misunderstood me. Guy Luo nodded to Ka-Er and expressed his approval, but Ka-Er really didn't have to do this. He really didn't know how to haki. Forget it, even if you use haki, you are still no match for me. Sharingan opened his eyes suddenly, and the world in front of him slowed down as if it were still. Guy Luo gathered a large amount of chakra into his hands, clenched his fist, and struck with a fierce blow. Boom. A wave of air visible to the naked eye spread out like a mountain with the 2 Luo Ka as the center. Countless people who were closer to the 2 were blown away. The physical collision alone, without Haki's participation, caused such a terrifying power, which is really shocking. At this moment, even Aokiji and Whitebeard, who were fighting fiercely, stopped. Kizaru and Margao also stopped their meaningless rookie pecking each other, stopped fighting at all, and turned their heads to look this way. There were expressions of surprise on the faces of several people. Whether it was Guy Luo or Ka-Er's physical skills, they had already touched the level of the Quasi-Emperor. With just one step, they could step into the realm above 10,000 people. Have you managed to achieve this step without using haki inside your mouth? Alara, I didn't expect that the strongest general, Katakuri, would grow to this point. It seems that our marine's intelligence is flawed. Kulala, Rice Cake Kid, as long as you kill this guy named Luo, I am willing to accept you as my godson. Whitebeard spoke boldly and shocked countless people. He actually wants to accept Ka-Er as his son. Hey, Whitebeard, you poached me, and you've come to me. Are you looking for death? The ant immediately yelled. Kulala, I was just joking, Linlin, Sasibardana. 4 emperors actually chatted about their daily life in front of the whole world, which contained a lot of information. However, at this moment, the battle between Guy Luo and Ka-Er suddenly changed. Chapter 37 solved in 10 seconds. While several big bosses stopped fighting and watched the battle between Roka and Luo Ka, they started chatting about family matters. But at this moment, the battle between Guy Luo and Ka-Er suddenly changed. Click, click, click. Ka-Er's giant rice cake fist made from Nuo fruit suddenly shattered like a piece of butterscotch. With a bang, Ka flew out upside down. Card 2, lost? Countless pairs of eyes glanced at him instantly, including Whitebeard and Big Mom, both of whom had solemn expressions on their faces. Aokiji and Kizaru, 2 admirals, also looked sideways. Want to know who wins and who loses? Now, no one dares to underestimate Guy, even though his military rank is only a mere colonel. But since he appeared, he has shocked the world again and again. Whoosh! Just as Ka flew out upside down, Guy Luo caught up almost instantly, stepping on broken pieces of rice cake as if jumping on a meteorite. Fire style. When he saw Guy Luo forming seals quickly in his hand, Margau's pupils suddenly shrank. He thought of something, and he shouted quickly. Be careful, he will spray. Before the word, fire, came out, a laser shot instantly and penetrated Margau's body. How? Can I let you succeed? Kizaru finally got it right for once. At this moment, Luo Guy has completed the seal formation. He takes a deep breath, puffs up his gills, and condenses the chakra. How fire destroy but, boom. The moment before the flames swept through, Guy Luo saw Ka-Er's bloodshot and ferocious eyes. Then he was swallowed up. Hoo-hoo-hoo. The terrifying high-temperature flames were like an erupting volcano. After engulfing Ka-Er, they continued to attack the Big Mom pirates behind them. Countless pirates screamed in agony, and then stopped suddenly. Nani? At this moment, the most surprised person was the ant. Like Ace, she can also use fire, so she is extremely surprised that others can use fire. Oops, Mom, Big Brother's ability is that he's afraid of fire. Someone on the side quickly reminded me. However, it was too late to say anything at this time. All we could do was watch. The battlefield was too far away and support was too late. What's more, the Big Mom pirates don't have any sense of family ties, so it's impossible for anyone to support Kaji at this moment. They hoped that Ka-Er would be killed so that they could take over. After all, the strongest general was overwhelming them. Hoo-hoo-hoo. The flames gradually died down. Everyone immediately looked at the position of Card 2 in the field, and what they saw immediately was a huge bulging round bag. Is he dead? Some people couldn't believe it, thinking that Guy Luo had killed another general. It must have vaporized, right? Under such high temperatures, and he is in the central area, he will definitely not survive. Click. Suddenly, a crack appeared in the protruding round package. A strange aroma emerged from it. This is the smell of baked rice cakes. Crash, at the same time, the ground below surged like water. It wasn't until this moment that people noticed that the frozen ice surface of Aokiji had turned into white rice cakes at some point. A big piece of rice cake, gululu, gululu, gululu. Several huge bubbles appeared on the ground of the rice cake, exuding a rich aroma. At this moment, a figure rose from them. HMPH, it's really amazing. I almost didn't react and was burned to death by you. Kaji is indeed a real man. He said that without armament hockey, even defense is useless, but he chose to use his fruit ability to resist. Wow. In an instant, the world was in an uproar. People looked at the scene in disbelief, unable to understand what was happening. Devil fruit. Awaken. Brother Ming was the first to discover the truth, and his face darkened. Has devil fruit awakened? Whitebeard also said lightly, aware of this keenly. Well, this is my son. Let the whole world see it. This is the strength of General. If you dare to anger the guys in our pirate group, you will be attacked by General. By then, the entire island will be destroyed. Everything will fall, well. Auntie laughed wildly, full of domineering and arrogance. The world is dead. This is the shock of absolute strength. Anyone, no matter how powerful you are on your island, or how good you are at pretending, but in front of the 4 emperors, if they send one of their subordinates, they can destroy your country by one person. This is 4 emperors, the pressure of 4 emperors, the intimidating power of 4 emperors. In the New World, 4 emperors can suppress an entire route and dozens of islands. Many people had a bitter taste in their throats. Perhaps the strength displayed by Marine was so powerful that many people began to think that the 4 emperors were nothing more than that. However, it is only Marine, or even just a few people in Marine, who are powerful. Zhang Xing is so powerful. As expected of a monster with a bounty of over 1 billion, he is simply not human. It can actually change the nature of the ground. This is the power of God. At this moment, Ka-Er's figure, which looked like a devil coming to the world, was deeply imprinted in the hearts of countless people and became their nightmare. At this moment, everyone understood how powerful and reliable Guy Luo was in fighting, resisting, and protecting such a terrifying general and monster. Countless people stood in awe at the figure of Guy Luo. If it hadn't been for Guy and Marine to resist the pirates with all their might, then these inhumanly powerful monster pirates would have swept across the world, and their families would have been destroyed. Well, I made a mistake. I forgot that you still have this trick. Luo Guy held his nose and yawned without caring about his image as a master. The battle continues. Ka-Er said coldly. Guy Luo, on the other hand, lazily said something shocking. The battle has gone on long enough. Next, I will take 10 seconds to finish you off. 10 seconds. Ka-Er narrowed his eyes and stared at Guy Luo. HMPH, arrogant. Auntie sneered. Brother, kill him, don't delay, use your invincible hockey. Next to him, Ka-Er's brothers and sisters started to cheer. Say 10 seconds, just 10 seconds. However, after Guy Luo moved his wrist, he disappeared instantly. Boom. There was a sound in the air, and he actually appeared in front of Ka-Er. He hit Ka-Er hard with a fist, punching a hole through it. No, it was just that Ka-Er used observation haki to gain insight into Guy Luo's attack path, and instantly used the fruit's ability to turn the attack place into a hole. In fact, Guy Luo's fist hit the air. In response, Guy Luo showed no expression and punched continuously. Bang bang bang. Every punch he punched hit the air. Ka-Er's eyes glowed red and he said calmly, "You can't hit me. After years of training, my knowledge and color have already reached the point where I can see the short future. In other words, before you take action, I know what action you are going to make." Yeah, however, Guy Luo still looked calm. At this time, 3 seconds have passed. Chapter 38 Sharing Gav's Top Knowledge, It's Useless. Ka-Er punched out instantly, hitting Guy Luo, but Guy just turned his head and dodged over, and then continued to attack Ka-Er. Although, Ka-Er could dodge his fists every time. The two of them were punching each other like crazy, but they were unable to hurt each other. I don't know how many people were stunned by this scene. Although every punch of the two men was empty, the power of each punch was real and could be seen. I'm afraid that if most people go up, they will be blown up directly. The so-called layman sees the excitement, while the expert sees the door. Most people only saw the powerful physical skills of Luo Ka and the two, but masters above Vice Admiral noticed the abnormality. Every attack can be avoided in advance. The strongest general has actually understood the legendary top observation haki. Many Vice Admirals were shocked. They had only heard some rumors about this ability. It is said that only admirals can master such magical skills. It goes without saying what it means to be able to predict the enemy's attack trajectory in advance. Look at Ka-Er's current state. He can perfectly dodge every attack from Guy. These Vice Admirals don't think that their attack speed can be as fast as Guy Luo. Soon, a horrifying picture began to appear in the minds of these Vice Admirals. A group of Vice Admirals besieged Ka-Er and Ka-Er, but Ka-Er perfectly dodged all the attacks. So scary, at this moment, Ka-Er's figure continued to enlarge in the eyes of these Vice Admirals, becoming an insurmountable mountain. Are you kidding me? Guy was able to dodge Ka-Er's attack. Doesn't this mean that he has also? Soon, a Vice Admiral realized something and yelled out uncontrollably. After being reminded by him, the others quickly realized what was happening and immediately opened their eyes and stared at Guy Luo's figure. If Ka-Er has mastered the top level of knowledge, then every attack he makes should be able to hit Luo Guy 100% of the time. However, the reality is that Guy Luo was able to accurately dodge every attack from Ka-Er. There is no doubt that Guy Luo must have mastered the top level of knowledge and sex. What a terrifying young man. He has reached such a level at his age. If he can continue to grow, he will definitely become a 4 Emperors level powerhouse in the future. Whitebeard narrowed his eyes and commented lightly. Guy also has top knowledge of Luo, but he didn't react at all. Because Guy Luo's knowledge and color are obviously on the same level as Ka-Er, so he can fight Ka-Er back and forth, and no one can break the other's defense. But at his age, according to Marine, he has already reached the time to retire. At this age, it is impossible for people to make any progress in strength, they can only regress day by day. In other words, Guy Luo will never become an Emperor-level master, and he is now at his peak. As for Ka-Er, there is still room for growth in the future. Well, come on, Katakuri, defeat Guy Luo, and your strength will definitely reach a higher level. Big Mom obviously thinks the same thing as Whitebeard. Guy Luo was not taken seriously, but was treated as a whetstone for Ka-Er. Fighting and defeating strong men is the way to reach a higher level. I believe that with your potential, you will be able to do it. Brother, come on, kill this Marine. Next to him, Ka-Er's brothers and sisters suddenly started shouting when they realized what was going on. Once they saw that Ka-Er seemed to have the possibility of winning this battle, they immediately stood firmly in Ka-Er's camp. At present, it seems that this Marine named Luo Guy cannot beat Card 2. But Ka-Er may become stronger because of this. At this time, there is no need to think about what to do. Of course I firmly support Ka-Er, however, there are still some people who feel a little regretful in their hearts, but it is a pity that Ka-Er will not die. Dong dong dong. The battle between Luo Guy and Ka-Er is still going on fiercely. Every punch of the two men was full of explosive damage, and they actually sent out sonic booms in the air. 10 seconds are about to pass. Ka-Er looked at Guy Luo's face with a slightly teasing gaze. I want to see if this powerful opponent will show an angry look. Buzz. At this moment, Ka-Er happened to make eye contact with Guy Luo. It was at this glance that he saw the Sharingan in Guy Luo's left eye. That is, 3 Tomo Sharingan. Boom. Just 1 second later, Guy Luo punched and suddenly hit Ka-Er. With a click, there was a sound of bones breaking on Ka-Er's body. What? Before Ka-Er could react, Guy Luo's second punch had already landed. Bang 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 bang. Ka-Er was hit with every subsequent punch, and he was not able to dodge even once. At this time, he was completely transformed into a beaten punching bag, and his body began to shake desperately due to the strange force of the impact. Deep fist marks appeared on his body out of thin air, which were left by Guy Luo's fist that was so fast that he couldn't see it. Boom! With Guy Luo's last punch, Ka flew backwards, like a shooting star, with blood flowing on his body, and fell heavily to the ground. At this time, it was just 10 seconds before Guy Luo said it was over. There was silence. Chapter 39 Card defeats, Angry Luo Guy. Boom! Along with Ka body, he fell heavily to the ground, and the myth came to an end. His body was covered with deep fist marks. It was like a tattered sandbag that had been punched dozens or hundreds of times before being thrown away. On the other hand, Guy Luo didn't have a single scratch on his body, and blood was dripping from his two fists. That's Ka blood. At this moment, the whole place was silent. How is it possible? A few seconds later, a pirate from Big Mom's camp screamed. Then, like a fuse, the domino effect broke out. Brother Katakuri actually lost. What just happened? How could you lose in an instant? Don't Katakuri-chan have the top observation Haki? Isn't he able to predict attacks in advance? Why didn't he dodge a punch just now? What happened? Let alone these ordinary pirates. Even Whitebeard, Big Mom, and even Aokiji and other admirals couldn't understand what was going on. Because, just a second ago, the two of them were evenly matched. The next second, Ka-Er's perception and expression seemed to suddenly go out of control. Wait. Masaka. Is that one? Whitebeard suddenly thought of something, and a flash of shock flashed across his eyes. Could it be that? How is it possible? There are no Haki fluctuations at all. Auntie was the second one who thought of it. She stood up from her seat all of a sudden, her face no longer as calm as before. The ability to instantly disable the ability to see and hear color. I have only seen one possibility. At this time, on the execution platform in the distance, Sengoku's eyes widened and he was obviously shocked. Obviously, even masters like them rarely, if ever, see this happen. Kill on sight, kill on sight, kill on sight. 3 people said these 3 words almost at the same time. That's right, in the worldview of the pirate world, the only one who can restrain the top-level conqueror's Haki is the top-level conqueror's Haki. It can instantly suppress the ability of the top level of sight and color, rendering it ineffective. Also known as killing on sight, however, this top-level ability is very difficult to cultivate. It is more advanced than the conqueror's winding. That can only be mastered by emperor-level experts. Moreover, the user's conqueror's Haki needs to be extremely powerful to suppress the enemy's observation Haki in an instant. For example, a Vice Admiral who masters wisdom killing cannot use wisdom killing against an admiral. Because the strength gap between the two sides is too big, they are completely indifferent to your conquerors. And if Admiral faces Vice Admiral, it is possible to use it successfully. If they are at the same level, it would take 1 Haki to practice to reach an appalling level. And among the living people, there are obviously only 2 people who can do this. Pluton Rayleigh and Shanks. Both of them are famous for their focus on Haki's training, and both have a top-notch understanding of Haki. Moreover, both of them have no fruit abilities, so in addition to training in taijutsu, they can only train Haki. As for others, they either have to spend a lot of energy and time to develop fruit abilities, or there is no famous teacher to guide Haki. After all, Rayleigh is the right arm of Roger, the Pirate King, and the two of them would have often exchanged Haki's training experiences when they were young. But Shanks has Roger, Rayleigh, and even the entire Roger Pirates as teachers. No, that's not right. This man has no Haki at all. From him, there is no trace of a king's attitude. Whitebeard suddenly shook his head. He was the closest person to Guy Luo, and from the beginning to the end, he didn't feel any aura of Haki from Guy Luo. Be it armament colors or conquerors, he looked deeply at Guy's figure. Rather than having Haki, he's more like a trained killer, a dervish, or a ninja. Others, however, don't think so. Without Whitebeard's insight and confidence, they could only use their own knowledge to explain this unexplainable behavior. Blame it on Guy's mastery of the top conqueror's Haki, and the use of wisdom kill to defeat card 2. Of course, some people who don't even know what they saw and heard about the killing can only understand that Luo Guy has defeated another strong man. Katakuri. Stand up, the aunt suddenly shouted loudly. She had a look of hatred on her face. People all over the world were watching. Ka, the strongest general, actually lost to Marine. Isn't this embarrassing for her? Really, my brother is so awesome, he was defeated by a Marine. Soon, the brothers and sisters who originally supported Ka became angry. Go to hell, it's so fun to lose to such an opponent. Yes, you are talking about being the strongest general. From now on, you are no longer a general. Trash. You look really ugly. You're lying on your back. You're in such a mess. You have mastered the top level of knowledge and color, but you can't beat me. You are really disappointing. Luo, how could I have such a useless brother like you? Bah. It has to be said that these people are very capable of adding insult to injury. Seeing that Ka lost, he immediately became a wallflower. Luo Guy walked up to Ka and looked into his weak eyes. What on earth did you do? Although Ka-er was seriously injured, he was not afraid of death, he just wanted to figure out how he lost. It's simple, because you fell into my illusion. Guy Luo pointed to his left eye. You thought you saw the future, but in fact it was a false future that I used illusion to let you see. This is like a film covering the original real future. And I only need to attack you based on the illusion I constructed for you. Of course you can't avoid it. I see, Ka-er smiled, relieved. Although he didn't know what illusion was, he already understood what it meant. He also understood that he did not lose unjustly. With your strength, no one under the 4 emperors can be your opponent. Everyone has seriously underestimated your strength. Observation Hokage is of no use to you. He is really a terrible man. Ka-er passed out halfway through speaking. There was a look of relief on his face. He finally no longer had to pretend to be strong. Hey, that guy named Luo Guy, hurry up and kill the trash in front of you. There were shouts in the distance. Luo Guy looked over coldly. In his heart, for some reason, there was a surge of anger. Noisy. A bunch of trash, I can kill you all with one finger. You guys, all the trash from the Big Mom pirates, come together, I'll kill you all by myself. Chapter 41 Sword and One General, what did you say? Auntie's group of children suddenly became angry. How could they have been so provoked? As Aunt's children, they are princes and princesses, and they are nobler than ordinary princes and princesses. In addition, as the children of an aunt, they are used to being arrogant and domineering. It is not an exaggeration to say that they have the character of celestial dragons. At this moment, when he heard Guy Luo being so provocative, he immediately started to attack. Go on, chop him to death. Let him know clearly how powerful the Big Mom pirates are. You're just a little marine, but you really think of yourself as a person? Believe it or not, I'll kill your whole family. A group of people shouted. Whoosh, at this moment, 2 figures suddenly rushed out. One of them has a fat appearance, a long nose, a hairstyle like a gourd, a woolen coat, a red and white scarf wrapped around his neck, and a large knife longer than his height on his back. Charlotte Snug. At the end of the 4 desserts, there is a reward of 600 million belly. In the original work, he was removed from the 4 desert generals because he was defeated by the strange monk Uroge. Court death. He shouted and swung the long knife in his hand to slash Guy. Get out of the way and let me kill him. A scream came from behind Snag, and the speaker was a woman whose legs were twice as tall as her upper body. She has silver hair, thick lips, wears a white round hood, a yellow scarf, purple boots, and holds a rapier as long as her height. Charlotte Smoothie, a woman with a bounty of nearly 1 billion belly, is the second-ranked dessert star. At the same time, she is also a person with the ability to squeeze fruits, and can squeeze juice from various objects. For example, you can juice fruits, or even squeeze juice for people. If you are poisoned yourself, you can also squeeze out the toxins in your body. There is no doubt that this is a pervert ability similar to that of the meatball fruit. If it is developed to ultimate, it should be possible to squeeze out pain, and terminal illness, and so on. And when she drinks the squeezed juice, body fluids, etc., she can store them in her body and use them during battles, causing her body to expand like a water-absorbed sponge into a giant, possessing terrifying combat power. At this time, Smoothie directly entered the strongest state, and his height became like a giant. Seeing that Kaji was defeated, she did not dare to underestimate Guy Luo. Brush. A shocking sword light struck in Guy's direction, and the long sword in Smoothie's hand stretched out instantly, like Pinocchio's nose, forming a sword hundreds of meters long, pointing straight at Guy. This sword was so amazing that it seemed to split the entire island in half. Countless pirates and marines felt their necks tighten and their bodies stiffen. The sword light swept over their heads, making them almost meet the King of Hell. Boom. What collided with the big sword was a long sword with blue flames. Guy Luo instantly opened his double Sharingan and summoned Susanoo to fight the enemy. Smoothie was apparently surprised to see Susanoo for the first time as well. She originally wanted to bully Guy Luo because he was small and showed no signs of using weapons. She wanted to use her giant size and giant sword to kill Guy Luo, but she miscalculated. At this time, Snag had already reached Guy Luo and sneered, not taking Susanoo seriously at all. This thing looks transparent, like it's made of glass, and can probably be broken with just a sword. Haha, your head is mine. Snag laughed, his eyes filled with heat. Ka-er has already lost to Guy Luo, so as long as he kills Guy Luo again, it will be equivalent to stepping on Ka-er's head. So from now on, he will be the leader of the generals, and even that woman Smoothie will have to obey him. Laugh, cut it out with one knife and take only Luo Guy. Puff. However, Guy Luo didn't even look at this 600 million general. He just stabbed out with the sword in his other hand and struck directly. Ah! Snag instantly realized something was wrong. The terrifying pressure of the sword didn't look like it was made of glass at all. Instinctively he covered himself with armament hockey. Puff. However, Susanoo's sword is not as hard as ordinary iron. Snag couldn't guard against this sword at all, and the weapon was instantly chopped into pieces. His whole body was shattered and his muscles were broken, and he flew out. Sulfuric acid. The next moment, Guy Luo gave up his weapon, grabbed Smoothie's weapon with his bare hands, and pulled hard. The terrifying force pulled him over in an instant. How can it be? Smooth's pupils shrank in disbelief. However, how did she know that Susanoo looked like a phantom? But it is made of pure chakra. Luo, the chakra in Guy's body is a combination of Tsunade's Baihao technique and the huge chakra contained in the double Sharingan itself. The superposition of the two makes his Susanoo's combat power amazing. Laugh. Smoothie was in midair, and Guy Luo had already condensed the weapon in his hand, and swept away with a sword. Smoothie had to give up her weapon at this moment. Her long sword was now too long, like the Emperor's sword, and was useless. Boom. Susanoo's sword struck her arm firmly, which was attached to the black armament Hokage's defense. Not even armament Hokage can completely defend against this attack. Puff. A bunch of blood spattered, and Smoothie was horrified to find that his Hokage was broken and there were deep wounds on his arms. HMPH, stupid. With such a big body, the Hokage covered in it is naturally much weaker. Luo Guy snorted disdainfully. Although Smoothie had become bigger thanks to the fruit's ability, he had doubled his power. However, correspondingly, there are also restrictions. Armament Hokage, for example, is fairly easy to cover on a normal body. But as the volume increases, the area that needs to be covered increases exponentially. In other words, Smoothie's Hokage defense at this moment is equivalent to that of some Hokage beginners. And his Susanoo sword is made of pure chakra. It can cut off mountains and cut off a sea in an instant. How can it be defended by this level of armed color? Smoothie's physical strength is amazing, otherwise the sword just now would have split him in half. Such a useless guy actually has the nerve to laugh at Ka-er? Luo Guy was a little angry. Although Ka-er is a pirate, he is also his enemy. But a respectable opponent. After discovering that he didn't have Hokage, he decisively gave up on Hokage. To put it simply, Ka-er defeated you wrong. Look at the Big Mom pirates, Kaji's brothers and sisters. After seeing his brother defeated, not only did he not show any care or help, he even started to ridicule and add insult to injury. Such a disgusting face made Guy angry. You trash, come on, let me see how many divisions you have. If I don't kill you all today, my name will be written backwards. Boom. As Smoothie's body landed heavily, Luo Guy's voice spread throughout the audience.